Hi, perhaps you recognize me. It's your favorite president.
We will decide who comes to this country and the circumstances in which they come.
You know you want to ban our national flags, but we're going to wave you goodbye.
What does confrontation mean? It means you fight for what you believe.
Enough was enough! And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother!
It is not merely our privilege to be strong, it is our duty to be strong.
G'day everyone, welcome back to another episode of Commanding the Narrative. My name is Stephen Tripp. Thank you to everyone who is watching this podcast. Also, a Merry Christmas to everyone. A Merry Christmas to all of you gentlemen here today. Let's introduce some. Councillor Adam Zahra, how was your Christmas?
It was very good, actually. Just family orientated, and go to the in-laws and in my parents' place and spend a good time just with them.
Very good. And Mr. Sam Buono.
Hey, mate, how's it going?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, mate. Yeah, long day for us. We had a mob of about 21 people in my
Oh, wow.
21?
21.
Wow.
Took us a day and a half to clean up.
And Mr. Richard Storch, welcome.
Thank you.
Is this an artistic way of having your microphone? Is it? We can't hear you like that.
Can't you?
Maybe have it like...
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
How was your Christmas?
It was the usual thing. I had to endure my Greens councillor cousin being the most important person in the room.
I bet you love that.
Oh.
But
her particular cause was that she'd bought New Zealand salmon because the Australian salmon industry was killing the Magellan skate.
Whatever that is.
The stingray.
Okay. Well, and also Happy New Year for everyone.
Well, Stephen, how was your Christmas?
Yeah. Oh, it was good, just with the kids and everything, family stuff.
Yeah. Couple of days off work.
Yeah, like 2 or 3. But yes, I know good to always have Christmas, and Happy New Year to everyone as well. If you are watching it today, if you're watching this live, we want to hear from you in the chat. So please contribute. Don't be shy. Also, the link to StreamYard is in the chat as well. So we want to hear from you. We're going to be talking about all things 2024, and later in this show, each one of us will be giving our top 3 winners and losers. So if you've got some as well, call in and let us know. We want to hear from you, and maybe you can contribute and think about who were the top performers politically in 2024. But to kick things off, we'll kick it off the way we always do, is by letting you know about how you can support us. And the best way is heading to Buy Me a Coffee. Now, if you want to throw us a few dollars there, it helps to pay for the stream, it helps to pay for the website, and most importantly, gives us a very warm and fuzzy feeling inside. And it does help a lot with the donations. If you want to contribute to us directly, you can do so by heading to commandingthenarrative.com. There's a few more options on there. Just hit the donate button, commandingthenarrative.com. And look, we don't throw the money around. It does. I mean, we're still in the red. I still have to throw Adam.
Did we get any Christmas presents this year?
Only the one. Only the one Christmas present this year, which was significant. So thank you very much for that one. But we try and take that money and parlay it into different projects and different equipment and things like that. We do use it effectively. So if you would like to donate, they're the best options. While you're at Commanding the Narrative, also sign up to the newsletter just by going to commandingthenarrative.com, top right hand corner, hit the sign up button, and you'll get a weekly newsletter from me, which a lot of people will give me good feedback about. They like reading it for whatever reason.
I like reading it too. It's nice and short and just straight to the point, sharp and snippy.
Yep, I don't go on too long, so it's probably about a couple paragraphs or so, just about what's happening through the week.
That's right.
If you do head to commandingthenarrative.com, you can keep up to date with all our podcasts. I am fiddling around with the Rumble at the moment, so bear with me there. So if you are getting a bit confused with all these older episodes popping up, head straight to Commanding the Narrative. It's the best place to go. You'll get the latest articles. The newsletters are up here as well if you want to read back on previous newsletters, and also upcoming events. If you want to know what we're doing on the podcast this coming week, you'll find it there with all the links, and also any other events coming. There's this Freedom Rally coming up in February 8th, 10 a.m. at Parliament Lawn in Canberra, rallying against basically everything against the government. So Commanding the Narrative really is the best place to go. So please check that out. And that's it, I guess, to kick things off. We are going to be talking about 2024. Can you believe we're almost a quarter of a century through the 2000s?
Technically, we are. 'Cause do you count? Do you start at 1 or do you start at 0?
Well, I remember waiting for the year 2000, thinking there was going to be some amazing thing.
Thing was going to change.
Y2K bug.
If you could, if you could take me back to the 90s, I'd go.
Oh, mate. I had a mate, I spoke, well, funny enough, about a couple of weeks ago, he said to me, he said, thank God we lived in the 80s and 90s.
I was going to say the 80s. I'd go to the 80s.
80? I can't remember the 80s too much.
I'd like to go to the 80s as I am now.
80s and
drop me
90s,
back
mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, 96, 98, those sort of years.
It was a good year for music.
Yeah.
Good in music. 90s was good in music.
Yeah. Good for a lot of things.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, we are, before we get into.
So do we count it 25 years have been gone? Or is it, mathematicians say you start at 0 and you go to 1, then 1, then all the way. So technically we're a quarter of a century already.
Yeah.
Well, the
so
thing is,
so
you
so
build
on
up
New
to the
Year's.
first year of 2000 though.
Well, certainly
So
near
it's
enough.
not a year.
Don't you think? 24 is near enough to a quarter.
But
of
you
a
don't
century.
consider a baby who's born 1 year and 9 months old when you're born.
No,
they're
well,
born.
what it is once we get to New Year's, it'll be 25 years that we've had.
Yes.
Yes. So we'll be a quarter of a century.
Yeah. At the midnight.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So we are going to be doing a review of the year, but before we get there, we're going to be reviewing the last week or two, because since we've all spoken to each other, a bit has happened, so we probably should get that out of the way first. The first thing I want to bring up is this was an article in news.com.au. It says, out of control, Anthony Albanese's big migration fail revealed in budget update. So we have had a budget update from Treasurer Jim Chalmers. So it looks like in May, Labor's budget projected net migration. Now, net migration is the people coming into the country minus the people going out of the country. So the actual immigration rate is higher than that. So this is net immigration. Would be slashed from 528,000, again, net immigration, in 2022-23 to 260,000 in 24-25, but that's blown out. It looks like it's going to be up to 340,000 people in this financial year. So we're looking at high in immigration numbers. We're also looking at high government spending. In my opinion, that's all leading to the cost of living crisis and also the housing crisis. Richard, what do you think about all this?
I agree with you completely. What I'd add is that the government keeps on expecting to be able to do these things and not to have a consequence. And the consequence is, as Michelle Bullock put it, who's the Reserve Bank governor, put it so bluntly, is that because of government spending and high immigration, there will be no interest rate cut.
Yeah.
And that's a diabolical outcome for the country, but it means that the Labor government is a dead man walking.
Also, too, the unemployment rate came out a couple of weeks ago, and it's under 4%. So
yeah, it hasn't moved.
The economy is still buzzing along.
We
haven't seen any Black Friday sale figures come out yet.
Yeah, but that's true, Sam. But we've still had 7 quarters, soon to be 8 quarters of negative economic growth.
Yeah,
on a per capita basis, and that's also influencing all the financial circumstances.
Yeah.
Now, I made the mistake of going to Birkenhead Point on Boxing Day.
Gosh.
Oh my! The amount of traffic and also foot traffic as well, because people had to park miles away just to get anywhere near the joint. I don't know why we did. We needed a couple of things, so we thought that was the best place to go. Anyway, we did it.
Should have come to sunny Campbelltown.
Yeah, I know. It would have taken us just as long. But I was thinking it was perplexing to me. I was thinking, does this show that there is no cost of living crisis and people have enough money to throw around, or does this show that there is a cost of living crisis and people had to wait for Boxing Day
Sales
to go buy their presents or their whatever they needed to get? Now, I'm living on the northern beaches. I'm personally feeling the pinch of the cost of living. Adam, you're on the other side of Sydney in Campbelltown.
killing us.
What are your thoughts?
Well, it's just the fact of the matter is that, and I've said it to you guys off air, you know, working harder and longer for less. I think that's what most people feel. I think that's how you feel. I don't mind working, and most people don't mind working hard. Most people don't mind doing the OT and stuff like that, especially coming up to Christmas and things like that. But what happens is you're not seeing the benefit from it.
Yeah.
So it's actually costing me more to operate. So I'm working basically just to operate.
The government would like you to be fulsome in your appreciation of how they've given you a tax cut this year, Adam. And they would love you to do that and not notice how inflation has destroyed the buying power of every dollar you have and every dollar you make and every dollar that you're going to make.
Yeah.
The as I said before about Black Friday sales, I've read some stuff that they think that Black Friday sales will overtake Boxing Day sales.
Yeah, well, the Boxing does. I mean, everyone was there excited, but I didn't think that the Boxing Day sales were all that great.
I think
I just want to touch on the point that Stephen made as well. I was actually speaking to somebody in Woolworths, a person who works in Woolworths, and obviously, you know, you get to know your checkout people and your sales people there. So I've been speaking to them, and she made the comment of, is there an actual cost of living crisis? Everyone's talking about a cost of living crisis. And then what happens is people are spending, you know, $800 and $900 on the, you know, pick and collect shopping and stuff like that. So she's out there picking the bags and shopping so people can come and collect, or for deliveries or whatever it is. And she said that, you know, order after order, $800, $900, $900. And I said to her, but I think people for Christmas, and Australians do this, we save for it.
So I think there's a couple comments I'll say to that. The first thing is, prior to click and collect, those people working in Woolworths wouldn't be seeing the balances of what people were buying unless they were on the checkouts themselves. The second thing is, groceries are essential, so they're the last thing that you would cut down on.
And at Christmas time, you're going to put on for the family.
Yeah.
So no matter what, you're going to see an increase in spend because you know, where you might buy one carton of Cokes or whatever it is, and you might buy, you know, you're not buying your big ticket items like you know 10 kilos of ham at, you know, $40 a kilo.
Plus, it also shows the cost of the groceries
have increased by 30. That's what I said to her. I said, but has the content gotten more? So, you know, if you did a $500 shop and got 3 bags worth of groceries,
Very good point.
would you get? Are you getting 9 bags of groceries now for your $800 or $900 spend? I don't think you are. You're right. You basically, the increase of cost is 33%, and so you're getting less food for your dollar.
Yeah.
Two things. I think we'll go to Cos Samaras, because he did a very good interview with his partner Tony Barry and Patricia Cavalis on ABC Radio. It's about 27 minutes long. And he said that there is a sense of grief in the third of Australia that's the outer suburban and regional part of Australia, where the Labor Party has lost about 5% of its vote, right? So the swing's been 5%. It's lost more than 5% of its vote. And he said that there's a sense of grief about the lifestyle that they had before COVID and how that will never come again. And that grievance is turning to anger because they feel like someone's stolen it from them. And this is where perception and instinct is actually more important than what the mainstream media are talking about. It's people's personal experience. And they really feel we've been robbed.
They have been.
I agree. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind.
This is your area, the outer suburbs, and this is why Cos Samaras says that MacArthur's probably going to flip to the Liberals.
Yep, I agree. I would imagine,
which is
I'd
unheard of.
I'd like to be in Binod Pordell's position right now.
Or does he deserve it?
well, let's see if we can't. Let's see if we can't help him deserve it. So
Nicholas Chatford in the chat's made a very good point.
Yeah.
All the job growth is in the government sector. Example,
Very-
NDIS.
Very true.
Good point.
Yeah.
Can I just say something about the cost of living?
Mm.
I know I talked to my local flower guy, and he's and it's a niche market thing. But I spoke to him actually on Christmas Eve.
Discretionary luxury purchase, unless
said-
your marriage is in trouble.
yeah,
Um,
and it's an essential service.
and I was talking, what did people buy? What did people buy for Christmas for flowers? And he said, well, he said he hasn't had a great year, but he always cries poor. But he said for the last couple of days before Christmas, they bought middle of the range and top of the range, where they haven't been buying that sort of stuff before. So exactly what Adam said. Come Christmas, we've curled ourselves in the hole for the last 4 months, but for Christmas Day, let's lap it up and enjoy the day. And then there's a after effect is when the credit card bill comes in February, and that's where the anger starts.
And what I was going to say to Richard's point, that people are angry, you know, and I'm getting that vibe. I'm getting that vibe through Campbelltown, you know, as well, you know, and people just, you know, they're looking for the free events. They're looking for, you know, in Campbelltown, unfortunately, council just passed fees to go on their crown jewel of the Billabong in Campbelltown. And it was unfortunately there was a lot of misinformation and disinformation about that, and it was never proposed to be a free venue anyway, because it costs to run and it wasn't budgeted to be free. And you know, $8.10 per person to get in now. It's gonna, and we've still got a year to go. But you know, people are outraged by that. Okay, and it's still a cheap day out. It's still a good place to go.
Everything costs, tolls,
everything.
There's
just
going to your point, Adam. That's your experience in the outer suburbs. I would contrast it to the experience here in what Cos calls an inner city or middle ring suburb.
So which is to let everyone know we're in the northern suburbs.
Yeah, we're in Chatswood area. So the whole point is that here there's not that experience at all. Most people are doing pretty well. They don't have debt. They've got secure employment. You know, things are pretty good. And the people that are struggling, that have still got big mortgages and stuff, they're just a bit grim. But they're not angry. They're not feeling like their whole world is changing. They're not feeling that.
Well, I spoke to a banker who's just a couple of streets from here.
Oh, yeah.
And he said to me that everything's okay. They're living within their means as long as they've still got a job to pay off their big loans, because there's a lot of big loans here. And they're not small. These are in 7 figures.
Wages need to move up. But one of the things I like to do is head to the IPSOS website, because they do a lot of polling on, getting a sense of what people feel. Obviously, we've got our own accounts, but this is some more in-depth polling.
Funny for the IPSOS, they aren't contracted to no paper or no media organisation.
So you're saying they don't have a dog in the race?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they come in independently. They're not aligned to, say, Newspol is the Australian, or Resolve is with 9 newspapers, or Essential is with
AFR.
Yeah, that's right.
What's the other one with the
Essential is with the Guardian, and Morgan's independent too, but they do a weekly one.
Okay, so, well let's see what it says. So just under 63% of Australians in the Ipsos survey said this year was a bad year for my country, with this measure trending down over the last couple of years, but that was due to COVID, obviously 92% in 2020. So people are starting to feel things are getting better, but how do you compare that with COVID?
That's right.
Things were more positive on the personal front, with 52% of people saying this year was a bad year for me and my family. This measure hasn't moved much in the last 3 years. So, and what that says to me, it's been pretty tough over the last few years. Optimism about the year ahead has increased slightly compared to last year. 71% of people think next year will be better than this year.
Is that because they think there's going to be a Liberal government coming in?
I
mean, that was almost a correlation right there.
Or Trump in America.
That made a big deal.
Expectations are for the economy to worsen in 2025.
Let's hope not.
Let's hope not. A strong majority expect prices to rise faster than incomes.
Yeah, well, that will happen.
Which is what we've been seeing already. That 84% of people said that. Now, this one's interesting. Now, this might be towards Richard's point that the teals are on the nose. I think that this proves that that might not be the case. On the environmental front, 77% of people expect average global temperatures to rise.
I just want to see the proof. Just prove it.
The
Prove it.
factory environment.
Prove it.
70,
And it's a last century debate anyway, so it's a stupid argument.
72% of people expect more extreme weather events in next year than this year.
And don't all the graphs show that the extreme weather events have
They're
been
not
in
looking at the
decline?
graphs; they're just hearing the propaganda
Oh my
and they're
God.
buying it. So, I mean, this goes maybe once I get through this, we can talk about the teals. But a couple more points. I'll just finishing off. Australians continue to be torn regarding technology, with 2/3, or 66%, saying AI will lead to many new jobs being listed in my country, which I disagree with. And we can talk
AI
about.
is the opposite. It's to reduce jobs.
Yes, I think that's it doesn't have that here, but I did read it elsewhere that people think that AI will cost jobs. I disagree. And we'll talk about that in a second as well with Richard. And in terms of world security, there's a great deal of pessimism, with just under half, 46%, believing nuclear weapons will be used in 2025, which is a pretty scary thought.
That's stupid.
I don't think that will happen.
Oh, I don't know.
Now,
well, I don't think.
There's something called the Samson Protocol.
Well,
It's like if anyone has a real go at Israel, other than the sort of firing off every rocket you've got and hoping that something will cause some damage, something real.
I think I'm optimistic. I think Trump will try and hopefully he'll get a few. I think he'll get Russia sorted out in the Ukraine war. I don't know. It won't be on the 21st of January.
Well, he's starting to say that it's harder to solve than he thought.
Yeah,
of course it is. But it's like, at least he's got some competence and capability. Whereas, imagine where we'd be if Kamala Harris was president.
Well, I think we'd already be.
I mean, the Iranian.
I've got to be honest with you. Samson Protocol would have happened.
Already done something.
It would have been done already.
Yeah.
All right, let's just quickly finish with this. I do want to bring up this point about the AI. Now, the reason why I don't think it's going to lead to too many job losses here in Australia is because you need a lot of energy for AI.
Mm-hmm.
Which is points that we've been making here on this podcast, Richard. Now, we will bring it up a bit later because there's an ABC article that I want to bring up that touches directly on this. But how can Australia compete on the AI world stage if we're not going to embrace nuclear energy?
Because everyone that wants to put a search engine or a data center in is going to take it to Texas so they can use cheap gas-fired energy. That's what's going to happen. That's what's happening now. That's what's going to keep happening.
Okay.
And also that's why all the big companies are securing, building and contracting nuclear energy, because they know that they're going to need it.
But the question with that is that you don't need AI to be based in Australia for it to work in Australia.
Well, how does that work though?
Well, if you had...
So you're saying that instead of someone working in a data center here, they'll outsource it to another country?
Isn't that what
well, you could,
the great thing about that? Like, isn't it because it's all done through cables and networks and satellites supposedly?
I think you're right, but what does that mean for the unemployment rate?
Well, it means that unemployment rate in Australia, because you have AI will then starts to take over, like investment brokerage will take over. Banking systems and things like that.
So just simple IT.
Just IT stuff like that. Yeah. This is what I'm saying. So like maybe I don't think my job in the near future is under risk or under threat. Okay.
Because the robot can't do it.
Well, not yet. Okay.
Well,
even though Elon's working on it, right? Like I've seen some of the stuff that he, like it's pretty crazy, right? I mean, I was worried when Honda made Asimo, and that was back in the 90s. I remember I was worried then. Okay. I'm like, why would you build something that can do what we can do? It's mental. Okay. But look at it from like a clerical point of view. Look at it for an administrative point of view and things like that. Okay. I've already got AI, some shit AI, right? Already organizing my messages and stuff for me.
Sure.
And I haven't even clicked on that button and it still does it.
Elon just made Grok free on X.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to be able to access. I mean, I haven't been all that impressed by AI, to be honest. It annoys me more than anything.
I've had
it never does anything I want it to do, but
I've had conversations with people about AI, and it's not apparently. I've heard two different stories, but the people go, it's a programmed artificial intelligence. Okay, so unless you have somebody programming it to do it, it won't be able to do it. And then you have other people who are probably more like greater experts at it, right? Saying no, the algorithm was a programmed algorithm that we did, and then it's led to it self-learning. And now that it's doing things that we don't even know why it's doing it.
I've seen some stuff on YouTube, and you know straight away that picture's an AI picture.
Yeah, you can tell straight away.
Straight away, even I can work that out.
Yeah, but it will get better. Now, Richard, just to finish off on that IPSOS, there's 77% of people that believe that global temperatures are going to increase. Does that help the teals? Are we seeing that the teals might not be finished yet? People are still believing that narrative.
Look, I think it's a polarization issue. It's like the people that were convinced by them in the first place will probably remain convinced by them. But the people that weren't and just voted for them like I did to spoil and to get rid of a useless Liberal member, they probably won't be convinced by them.
So we just found out Richard's a teal voter.
Well, come on, Richard, what are you doing?
Do you remember Trent Zimmerman?
No.
Do you remember him? Well, that's my point. He was there for, what was it?
10 years.
8 years and accomplished absolutely nothing.
James Thompson in the chat says, teals are a one-hit wonder, something trendy in the local area. It wears out. I'd be interested to know where
My
James
area
lives.
likes trendy things.
Does
That's not
James,
a help.
do you live in a teal area? Because I'm not seeing that in Warringah at all. Zali Stegel is still a force, unfortunately.
I still think they're a force.
What is not?
What I would say is I don't see them prospering with their 20 campaigns to get more seats. I don't see that happening. I don't even think they'll get Bradfield.
How long? My question, guys, I probably should know this, but excuse my ignorance. How long have the teals been running?
2 terms. So Zali was the first.
So they've only run for 2 terms.
Yeah, but that was Get Up. Get Up got Zali in. So it wasn't actually the teals. The teals as a movement were 2022.
Okay, so 1 term.
All right, so 1 term. And then how many elected members do they have?
7.
7.
All right, so then, let's compare that to, let's say, Pauline Hanson's One Nation. Okay. How long have they been running for? Since 96. And how many elected members are in One Nation?
Over the years?
No, just let's currently right at this point.
Well,
there's two
in the federal parliament.
There's 2.
Let's talk about that, because this is
but I'm not on One Nation side here. I'm saying that we're talking about that comment about
it's difficult to make a comparison in one way because the funding resources and the human resources that went into the teal campaign were unbelievable. You probably didn't see that.
No, I know that Zali spent like $100 million or whatever it was.
They don't understand.
Yeah.
They haven't seen it.
No.
I'm going to drag you out to Warringah during the election.
I will come out
so you can see it.
I want to see it, because you comment when you come out to Campbelltown all the time and go,
you can come and visit me.
How even it is and how fair it is and all that kind of stuff and how reasonable it is.
You can come and visit me at Manly pre-poll.
Yeah, but I'm just saying
why will you be at Manly pre-poll?
Easy. We plan on going after.
But you have to look at,
because Stephen, as we both saw 3 years ago, and people who are trying to run out the Western Sydney, who are running as independents or starting something in the Western side, or trying to run in. Let's say you're running in a seat, doesn't matter if it's Warringah or Parks. You just can't turn up at 5 to 3 for a 3 o'clock start.
No, you need to be campaigning for a year.
Yeah, that's right. And I think we can talk about 1 or 2 people who are thinking about running in campaigns. You cannot run at 5 to 3 to 3.
But I just
3 o'clock start.
I don't necessarily. I don't 100%
they want to
agree.
They want to win seats, not be disruptive and get 5-6%. I
don't 100% agree that it's based purely on money spent and campaign and people. It's. I think people look a little bit deeper than that. I think we don't give enough credit to the public. I think the message that the teals sent
I think you're being far too generous.
You think so?
People are far more shallow than you.
I know.
Look, they're an incredible marketing machine to the point where I've started following people like Allegra Spender. I can't bring myself to like Zali, but Sophie Scamps, particularly Allegra, has really started to grow on me, and I can understand why people want to get on that bandwagon.
But what's the message? Look, I'm out of the loop with that. Okay,
See, here's the thing with
what
the
is
teals.
what is she saying? What's she selling?
Here's the thing that frustrates me with the teals. They've cottoned on to something that's really working. Now, if they were standing for issues that were extremely important in this country and that could contribute long term to this country, they would be an unbelievable movement.
Yeah.
They'd be an unbelievable force, almost as good as MAGA in America.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're focused on this climate change stuff and they're the biggest hypocrites in a lot of ways is devastating, because they could be such a positive movement.
Yeah.
In your eyes.
But it's not.
Other people don't see. 70% of the people don't see it your way.
Their policies are destroying this country.
I agree with that. So I'm on your side. You know that, right? I agree with you.
Yeah.
Right. We're in the game.
But but the people that can't see that look at them and think this is a fantastic movement. I want to be a part of that.
Right.
This is fresh. It's new. It's positive.
So what they're selling is what
they're
people
selling
want.
is what people want. It's just unfortunately what they stand for.
It's a lie. It's a lie.
Yes.
It's wrong, because wind farms and solar and all that stuff is never going to do it.
All that's true, but put all that aside. The point is, the world has moved on. We are moving into an age of the AI, and we need cheap energy.
Yes.
Otherwise, we will become a third world country.
We are becoming a third world country. And let's face it. How far are we away from it?
The second thing about the teals is they provide a social connection for lots of old, lonely people.
Yes, correct.
And you see them all out there.
Yep.
It's like
they go to a retirement home and recruit.
They are almost like a cult. And it's like they've got the glazed eyes. It's like, wow,
you can see them coming.
Part of something big.
I think you're going to see. I think you'll see a change with that. I think.
No, I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen that. But
Sam's smiling.
I'll be very happy.
It's not going to change.
But I don't think that's going to change soon.
I think with the old. I think we got a lot of old people. Sorry, mate. I think you got a lot of old people, and you got a lot of. I think the older people are still more interested than younger people. And I think when you start picking up the younger people who will start to get involved more and more, that's when you're going to see the change, right? Because what happens is the old people have lived their life. I don't know. Like this is, come
out and see it, and then
no,
I want to bring up this. James has made a good comment in the chat. Palmer spent all that money, as in Clive Palmer of UAP. What did he achieve? Different message. It's not about the money; it's about the message.
Well, this
different. But Palmer and UAP was all about let's save Australia. Everything's rubbish. It was the negative.
But that's on my point. That's on my point, right? So what happens is it doesn't matter if you spend $100 million per electorate or $100 million over your whole federal campaign. Okay, it's the message that you're sending, and it's what people are believing. Now, if you have a look at what the teals are selling, it's what everyone's propagating anyway. Okay, you go to any sort of news page, or you see a news clip come up or whatever. Oh, Australia had the hottest summer or hottest 2024 ever.
Rubbish.
Which I could wear a jumper. Like I literally could have a thin jacket on today.
Such a mild year.
It's mild as.
And this is what's so offensive. It's class 1 hypocrisy. And I can take everything, but what I can't take is hypocrisy.
Right. So what happens is I
won't put up with
the teals are doing just like Big Pharma and Big Everyone's doing, right? Is that lie to propagate their cause.
It's working.
It works.
They're
and 70%
idiots.
of people are believing it. And this is where people like us have to get working, and we have to work more than we are to try and send a message that's better. Because what happens is at the end of the day, right, the teals are selling gloom and doom.
This year, I'm not going to leave anything in the change room.
Well, there's nothing in the change room.
All right, so we've been talking about the Teals and everything that's working there. What's not working for another party, One Nation?
Oh my gosh!
Is another one bites the dust? I had a good clip lined up. I should have played this. I was going.
Play it.
I can't bring it up. I was going to play "Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead" from.
Don't play that. I thought it was going to be something political. All right.
This is a personal statement from Tanya Mihalik on her Facebook page. After much careful consideration, I wish I could do a Tanya Mihalik voice. It's kind of like a nasally comment. I have made the decision to end my membership of Pauline Hanson's One Nation. Earlier this year, I came to an impasse with the party, and as a result, I do not wish to remain a member of Pauline Hanson's One Nation. Senator Hanson is the registered officer for each state, a member of the New South Wales State Executive, and the national president of the party. I respect that this is her party. In New South Wales, the Electoral Commission issues administration funding, which is roughly about $75,000 per quarter to eligible parties and elected independents. Members of Parliament owe a duty to their constituents to be confident that such funds are administered transparently, which is a good point. I agree with that, Tanya. One thing that we agree with. In keeping with the New South Wales Electoral Commission's legislative requirements, despite being New South Wales leader and the only One Nation MP in New South Wales, I feel I can't continue to be the public face and representative of the party in New South Wales when I'm not informed fully about the administrative requirements of the party within the state of New South Wales. Please note, my values have not changed. I will sit on the right-wing crossbench as a Conservative independent MLC and continue to fight for the interests of my constituents, religious freedom and parental rights. And, she goes on and on and on, wishing the party all the best and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, there's a few points that I want to raise about this. The first thing, Sam, is that we knew this was coming.
We got tipped off the last 6 months or so, but it was interesting she did it last thing before Christmas.
Yes, that's another point that I want to...
7 o'clock on a Friday night before Christmas.
I wish we knew exactly when it was that we were told that she would resign from the party before Christmas. I think you can go back and watch a podcast where I said something along the words to the effect of the word on the street is that One Nation is going to go from 3 upper house members to zip. So someone in the can find that podcast where I said that, but that was roughly around the time that we knew. So we knew that this was coming.
We're all tipped off.
In fact, Sam and I were having the conversation in the last couple of days saying, maybe our informant isn't right because nothing's happened. Well, Friday the 20th at 7 p.m. she announced this just right before Christmas.
Taking out the trash at the last moment.
If you want to announce something that you want to fly under the radar, it's almost like she looked at the map, 9 months ago and said, what's the most opportunistic time to announce this that no one will notice? And she's picked that date and she's stuck to it the whole way along.
That's right. I thought she was going to stay. I got told maybe she's changed her mind, but obviously she stuck to what we were told 6 months ago. Well, we warned her. She didn't really rat to a point to the party. Just the statement saying I've left, but I'm not going to tip my bucket on the way out to a point. I might be wrong on that part, but that's the impression I got.
Maybe she's learnt from when she left the Labor Party.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Now tell me this, Sam.
Yep.
Why? So we obviously knew for a long time. Why did she wait this long? And why she released it on the 20th of December, 5 days before Christmas, on a Friday at 7 p.m. Why is she? I've got the answer. Well, I've got what I think the answer is.
I think she wanted to leave quietly.
But why couldn't she do that back in June or July?
Of course, she probably had to fall out with the 2 other guys that were there before.
So basically, what I was told, we don't know if this is true.
Allegedly.
This is the talk on the street.
I'm hearing this for the first time too.
Oh, rubbish.
What, are you
Come on, we talked to this
in private.
Did we? I don't know what you're going to say.
Anyway, the reason why she left it, because this is when I first heard about this, I'm like, why would she wait till the end of the year? Why doesn't she just come out now if she's unhappy? No one can contact her. She's not doing any work for the party. When there was a Hornsby by-election and Steve Bush was running, she's supposedly the leader of New South Wales One Nation. She did no campaigning, nothing.
All the orange came off all her posts and all that stuff. So we knew that there was distancing. I'm not saying that I don't know.
But why did she wait this long? Because
this is the part that I don't know.
Because if she was to do it straight after Mark Latham and Rod Roberts had left, it shows an error on her judgment.
Right.
Because they were telling her, they even stood up in Parliament and laid out exactly why they left One Nation. And it's essentially very similar reasons why she left One Nation. Now, if she, and she stayed loyal to the party at that point in time, instead of staying loyal to Mark Latham, who brought her in, she stayed with the party. You know, a couple months later, she realizes that Mark was right. And she should have left as well. It shows a poor error on judgment, because she should have gone with Mark and Rod Roberts, and three of them sat on the crossbench as independents together. But instead, she went with One Nation. That was a mistake, and she didn't want that to come to light or anyone to make that point. Now, obviously, we can't get in the mind of Tanya Mahalik. We don't know this for certain. I want to say that we don't know that that's for certain, but
it's an educated guess.
Yeah, she. I thought a theory would be that okay, Mark's left 18 months ago, Rod's left 12 months ago. I'll take over and see how I can lead.
And she's found out very, very quickly that that's impossible.
You know, maybe
just like Craig Kelly did, just like everyone else has.
You know, could she maybe change it from the inside? No. This is maybe this could have been.
You think this is what she's
could have been her thoughts. Like maybe.
No, it's interesting.
I think she didn't want to do the hard.
That statement where she said that Pauline runs the party and you have no say. I heard her say that prior to Mark Latham leaving. So she knew that straight away. She very smart. She'd been in the political game for a long time. One of the first things that she did was to read the constitutions, and she realized, or the constitution of the party. She realizes that the buck stops with Pauline. No one has any say. No one, apart from James Ashby, has any say in One Nation. Pauline has the final say on everything.
James Ashby through Pauline.
Yeah, well,
obviously.
Who's the puppeteer?
Well, right. But no, you know, intelligent woman for sure. She's also a lawyer, don't forget. So she would read bylaws and understand what's going on once reading it. So I agree. I agree with you.
It's not hard.
Well, no, but I mean, like we've been there. All of us, we've been there. Like it's not.
Let's not get past the main point, which is that her judgment was extremely poor, because she knew what she was getting into, and she failed to act.
So you're saying that she should have stuck with Mark Latham?
Absolutely. You stick by the people that have done things for you. You don't try and sort of freelance or go out on your own or be the center of attention. But that's her problem. She needs to be the most important person in the room.
She thought she
needs to be the center of attention.
But you remember in the Labor Party, she was just a backbench hack, basically. Now she was a squeaky wheel, but again, in a very safe seat.
And then the seat got abolished, and suddenly her meal ticket got refunded. Got redundant.
What does this mean for her now, Sam? Is she basically redundant?
She's a cunning operator.
Does she wind up in the Libertarians or something?
We don't want her.
Please tell me that's true, Richard.
We don't want
Family first.
Maybe.
No, but Lyle Shelton running federal, running state. He'll do anything to get into a parliament. So that's out of the equation.
Yeah, okay.
Where else is it? There's nowhere else to go. Where else can?
Well, she's been in parliament over 10 years. Maybe she feels like she's had enough.
I think she'll leave quietly.
Well, she's tried to leave quietly. Hopefully, we've amplified it here.
As she did, she'll bring a few issues up.
I mean, she's got far too much attention from Sky. She's on Sky
once a week.
Does that dry up?
Now that she's not representing One Nation, I'd say so. I would say that they'll quietly sort of.
What does this mean for New South Wales One Nation?
What, is there a New South Wales One Nation?
Well, I guess I don't know.
That's my. I mean, you've got supporters, you've got members
from where it was, and the momentum that they had to now is incredible. How quickly a party can fall apart.
We haven't got to the section yet, but
same with any tyrannical, dictatorial leader. They can cause an amazing amount of destruction very quickly, and that's what Pauline's done.
I think I don't personally believe it's Pauline herself, but I do believe
Well, we
that,
all know that, but it's
but
like,
I
that's,
do
that's
believe
not the point.
But I do believe that, and we haven't got to this part yet, but Pauline Hanson's One Nation is probably the biggest loser of this year.
Well, let's get to that because we might have some crossover thoughts. But
coming back to on the New South Wales side, what she's done, you haven't heard from Pauline the last since what Tanya has done, and you won't hear us say that word because she's used to people going all the time.
Pauline's still trying to get over the Christmas roast.
But it's a classic tactic, and the Greens do this well. When things go wrong, they hide under the table for a while until the law blows over them.
Yeah. Well, someone that's not hiding under the table is Mr. John Ruddick. Now, straight after this happened, he put this post out there.
It was a 100-meter dash, you would have won the gold medal.
Always the opportunistic Mr. Ruddick, and good on him for doing so. Yeah. He's put out this
but
article.
He does try and be funny.
He's put out this.
He does have a sense of humour.
Yes,
that's what cuts him apart from.
You reckon it's a sense of humour? I think this is a hard, cold political tactic.
Well, look, the Libertarian.
Well, I'd be impressed if it is, Sam, but I think that he just likes stirring and having fun.
What's clear is the Libertarian Party does need One Nation out of the way, and he's put out this article that he wrote himself: the differences between Pauline Hanson's One Nation and the Libertarian Party. So this will be very interesting.
Someone else written that for him too.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Now, I've read this, and we might read some of it today. I think this actually hurts the Libertarians because as I go through and read this, I'm like, yeah, I agree with One Nation. I think this makes the Libertarians look like kooks. But he points out the differences. The first one's free trade. One Nation says free trade agreements that function against the best interests of Australians must also be scrapped. I think that's fair, Adam, don't you think?
Yeah. I'm still One Nation policy guy.
I am too in a lot of ways. Policy wise, I think they're pretty common sense.
I think so too.
Import tariffs should be re-implemented on select countries, which is
China,
which is a Trump thing.
Yeah.
On select countries to protect Australia's remaining industry and manufacturing while safeguarding homegrown jobs and wage levels.
And maybe increasing Australian manufacturing because you put tariffs on things that are imported that we can make and create new industry again, or recreate industry that has gone.
Now, this is what the Libertarians believe. Libertarians support a unilateral declaration of free trade with the world. If a nation doesn't reciprocate, they are only harming themselves. We know that tariffs prop up insufficient industries and deprive us of competition and innovation. So what the Libertarians are basically saying is that there shouldn't be any government intervention. Just let everything be open, and the cream of the crop rises, and everyone else just fails.
In a perfect world, if it was libertarian, if you had libertarian policy like globally, from the start,
it's always a utopia. Just like communism always talks about it.
It's an ideological position. And
well, not in an ideological position.
Would it surprise you, gentlemen, to know that I'm a protectionist?
Well, good. It doesn't surprise me.
Much to the fury of the rest of the party.
Well, the problem
they would like a unanimous groupthink, and yes, we've all seen the light. We all think the same way, and it's like, and then there's you, Richard.
Well, but see, the thing is too, right? That's totalitarian in itself. Right. The good thing about the Libertarian Party is that everyone has different views on what libertarianism is really.
Ridiculous.
No, it's just that I reserve the right to dissent and to dispute ideological positions.
We're getting bogged down. So let's quickly power through this.
I'm always happy to go there.
Let's just get bogged down here.
On the political side, what does John get? What does John want out of this sort of stuff?
Well, I think I want to get to this. Yeah. I think that this article's a mistake.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he's trying to jump on and say, "Oh, these are the big differences between One Nation and Liberty." I think most normal, common sense minded people will read this article and say, "I'm going with One Nation."
Good, let them.
All right, state spending. One Nation supports the state financing nation-building infrastructure projects, including water, rails, roads, and energy. They also support bailing out farmers during droughts.
Well, we've got to eat. We've got to eat. Because
basically, One Nation wants to build roads and dams and a hybrid rail scheme and a high-speed rail, something like that. And they also want to support farmers. Libertarians know the private sector will build better infrastructure at a lower price. Libertarians see farms as a business, and we will never support taxpayers' bailouts of a business.
And the problem is that you can't do that because you've already got China. You've already got, I guess I'll never speak at it. I've got to be careful when I say China, but I'm saying not just China, but you've got Bill Gates. You've got George Soros.
BlackRock,
You got BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard. They're the biggest property owners in the world. You have even people like who's the guy from Amazon? What's his name again?
Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos, right? So the biggest, some massive property purchases of farmland. Okay, so you've already mooted the market. If you open it to free market and don't have somebody looking after the little guy, it's only the big guy. And guess who's little? All of us.
Yep, exactly.
Right, it's never going to work. It won't work. It
No,
can't
there's
work.
only 7 of these, so that's privatization. One Nation is adamantly opposed to privatization of government assets. I don't know if that's correct.
Government assets are owned by the people because the government owns nothing.
Well, for
Ratepayer.
example, they privatized Telstra, which Sam, you'd have.
It was actually Keating who privatised Telstra.
No, was it? Okay.
In the early 90s.
And how much do we pay now? For terrible service.
Keating privatised the Commonwealth Bank, and Costello privatised Telstra 20 years ago.
Yeah. So the Libertarians support privatisation because we know that. We know this already. We've talked about this. That they want to privatise everything basically, including beachfronts. Free speech. One Nation has the right instincts on free speech, and we are grateful for their recent advocacy on this front, which is very like talking down to them. Oh, you're being a good boy, good boy and girl. But the real test for free speech, what's that word? Purists. Sorry,
Purists.
I can't read.
Sorry. Yeah.
The real test for free speech purists are the edge cases. State and federal parliaments have in recent years debated banning displays of the swastika. One Nation voted in favour of the ban, but Libertarians have voted against. So Libertarians are saying that they want to see the swastika around, or not that they want to.
No,
see
they don't want it.
No,
It's the right to fly it if you want to fly it.
The whole point is, if you start there, where do you end?
Where do you end?
The guy
and it's like, I actually want people to do stupid things like fly a swastika outside their house.
On this point, I agree with the Libertarians. So that what are we up to?
5 in.
Three to One Nation, 1 to the Libertarians.
I'll give you a point of speech.
No, you didn't give me a chance to say anything about number 2.
Can I just? So you say something, and I want to say
state spending. Go on.
State spending. I don't think a purist approach to this is the best way. One way or the other. I think you've got to be willing to do both. It's like sometimes you won't get private funding for a major project, and the government's got to step
you're just
in.
proving you're not a libertarian.
No, I'm not a purist.
2 things. Can I? To state number 2, state spending. Deep down, John Ruddy doesn't believe in state politics. He doesn't. He thinks states should be abolished and everything just go into Canberra.
All right.
And I think when
he says
he's not alone.
True, but going number.
I think
5,
when he says state spending, he means state and federal. Like sometimes you say federal is.
I know what he's talking about is public spending as opposed.
Look, I disagree with you a little bit.
Can I just say?
Yeah.
The state I thought that his state spending is more state government, and I think deep down he doesn't believe in state governments.
Well,
no,
and deep down reading
talking about public spending.
and reading Hansard, you don't believe in. It hasn't contributed much to policy.
Believe me, I've had to listen to him much more
number
than you have.
5, and number 5,
we're not up to number 5 yet.
Number 4, free speech.
Yes,
it's Pauline. It's Pauline who lost to Maroon Faruqi.
Yep.
It was Mark Latham who got smashed.
Yes.
By Mark.
Yes.
Question.
So when John Rudder goes through a legal case on free speech, then he can talk.
John, where's your example? Where they've put their heads out there.
Give him time. I don't think Zali's going to be very happy with him very shortly.
Watch it, John, because Climate 200 will be after you.
All right, number 5, industrial relations. I hope he watches this. I really do.
Look, I actually think John. I look at it a little bit different with John. I think he uses what we have. So you've got. I think the best thing. State government, whether he's in it or not. Okay, you have the state government system. Yeah. So he was able to get into the state government system. So he has to use the state government system, whether he believes in having state government or not.
The best thing that John Ruddock can do is to leave the Libertarian Party and start his own party and leave all this garbage behind, because he's one of the most effective politicians in this country.
I think he needs
to get this Libertarian crap and throw it out the window and take all the good people that are in there with him, like Gemma Naosi, like even Victor Tay, I even know he's a bit psycho, Elvis and a whole bunch of them, needs to take them with him and forget all this garbage.
All I'm just saying is that he's talking about free speech. People who he's bagged over.
Yeah, I know you've made that point. Let's move on.
Let's just get perspective. He has to stick his head out.
Yeah, okay. All right. Industrial relations. One Nation supports an active role of the state in the relationship between employees and employers.
I still think you're missing the point, is that the Libertarian Party is the only party that doesn't just tolerate dissent, it actually encourages it. And so everyone's free to think
So
what
you're
they
too
want.
busy
We don't
arguing
have
in the background
rigid-
before doing
Oh,
anything.
bull. You know
What have
that's
you
not
guys
true.
done?
I missed it. Damn it.
Deer in the headlights.
I missed it. I've just.
No, I missed it.
I just gave him a glare. He's very pleased with himself.
Oh, look at him.
He's very, very pleased.
We
with
must take over the podcast now.
What have you guys done?
The point is that we've only been going for 2 years.
20 years.
If you count Liberal Democrats, that was a little bit different.
James says, but at the end of the day, they've called the Libertarian. They're called the Libertarian Party. They're going to be Libertarians.
That's true.
That goes to my point why John Ruddock should leave and start his own party. I mean, he's still in there for 6 years, so he's got plenty of time to build it up. Okay, so we've done industrial relations. Libertarians want to liberate workplaces entirely from clumsy state interference, which distorts what's best for both parties. I tend to lean towards the libertarian view on that, but I do think that there should be some protections.
Yeah.
Immigration. One Nation supports net zero immigration, which this goes back to the first article that we're talking about. Net zero which means that the people that
leaving
leave this country, and I think it's about 100,000 per year.
We bring in
100,000, so the net is zero, which I think is a really bad wording because most people read that and think they just want zero immigration, which is not true.
And they've never said that.
Yep.
It's never been net zero.
Yep.
It's never been zero.
Yep. Which I assume means we should only permit the same number of migrants. Yeah, exactly. So
it's lazy policy.
Basically, Ruddock's saying, yeah, that's hard to understand as well. Libertarians share One Nation's concern around the record-setting immigration we currently have. We know the government is pumping up our migrant intake to keep the economy out of recession, even though we are in a per capita recession. The paramount rule for immigration should be that it benefits us.
Mm-hmm.
Generally speaking, libertarians welcome skilled migrants, but we favor a system where either the migrant or their supporting employer pays a significant fee. I tend to think that's fair.
I think it's great policy.
Yeah.
If people want to bring in more refugees, they can sponsor them.
Well, and they can pay for it too.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree with that. But if you're going to bring in somebody like a carpenter or a nurse or a doctor or something like that,
I'm sick of these preaching
hospitals should
lefties,
sponsor them.
lefties saying that we're responsible for all the world's poor and suffering, and it's like, well, okay, you put your money up. Stop, be genuine. Don't be a hypocrite. You put your money up.
Okay, foreign policy. One Nation is not actively engaged in foreign policy debate. I think they're more focused on domestic, which is fair. Libertarians are non-interventionists. We are strictly apolitical in the affairs of other nations. We seek trade and goodwill with all peoples. If we could click our fingers and turn North Korea into a liberal democracy, we'd be thrilled. But outside military interventions so often inflame already bad situations. In most cases, we are better off letting the locals sort out their own squabbles. We support private charities providing humanitarian aid.
Well, you'll be pleased to know that I'm part of the military war faction of the party.
Stephen, that policy is a classic John. That's a John Ruddock policy.
Yeah.
Anti-war.
Yeah.
Make Liberal Party great again.
Yeah.
Read his book. That's classic. That's classic.
Yeah. Look, I think it got better as we went along. But I don't think people would get there. I think they'd read the first couple and think, "Yep, I'm with One Nation. See you later."
Oh, it's an overall.
It doesn't make that much difference because as long as they're not voting for the majors, they'll come to us in the end anyway.
All right, let's keep moving because
Well, I think-
this is going to be a 3-hour podcast.
I think the Libertarians are the only ones who are on the move at the moment, as far as
Yeah,
that goes.
we
you know?
we do have to give them that.
I would say to that, let's see when the push comes to shove on election day. See
I
what they're
agree.
really-
Yeah, but
Yes.
you do have
I-
to give
I
them
want
credit
boots
that
on the
they've been
ground.
trying.
Oh yeah, no trouble.
Uh,
Let's. They've had pretty good runs. They've had a good year.
Mind you, their plebiscite that they had to select their upper house,
Yeah.
or Craig Kelly got selected for the Senate. I heard a lot of feedback saying that that was very well managed, I guess you could say. And maybe it's not as
It was
open and democratic as what you would
it was
As what-
assume.
That's
It-
what
it
the
was-
theory man says.
it's the democracy you're having when you're not having democracy. Clayton's.
So, Richard, I've been reading Crikey
But
again.
can I just say one last word Port, about that? Come May, and you'll just see, and you have a look from where they are at. Okay, because what you remember, a lot of these elections have been no Labor and the Greens run, so the vote's been split everywhere. So the grand final is in May, and that's when you get
Or March.
or March, doesn't matter.
So your example is Pittwater, where there were 3 candidates, a teal, a Liberal, and a Libertarians, and the Libertarians polled 4%, less than
State
4%.
optional preferential voting, not a good comparison.
But 4% in a free horse race is not great.
No.
Who cares if it's optional, preferential, or not?
You want
It
your
means,
primary vote.
it means a lot of people just won't vote.
No, it doesn't.
They'll just
What was
do-
the informal rate?
they'll
3%.
just
3%.
no,
What's
they
the
just
point?
vote. They don't vote one. They vote one, and then they don't distribute preferences.
Yeah, but there are no preferences going to the Libertarians anyway, because they were going to finish dead last always. Even if they got 15%, they would still finish last.
True.
So what's your
Well, I
point?
think it's a good marker point because you haven't.
What I'm trying
you
to
haven't
say
got. You haven't got.
It's
you
the
haven't got-
primary vote that's what you look
That's
at.
what
Yeah.
I'm saying. You go off the primary. You never worry about your preferences really.
Okay, all right, let's move on now. We're talking.
Hey, can I say one last word? One last word on the One Nation Libertarian side. Sure, Pauline's dug her own grave and stuff like that, but they've still got people still know One Nation name compared to a Libertarian. And secondly, there was a poll out today with name recognition of politicians. Pauline Hanson had
Mega.
net negative of 22%, but 97% of that survey knew Pauline Hanson.
Mm.
Adam Ban had only 60%. Other politicians were in their 40s and 30s.
Mm.
So people name recognition, people know Pauline Hanson, One Nation.
Mm.
And John would love to have those sort of numbers.
Richard, I've been reading Crikey again, which I'm sure will bring you a lot of pleasure. Now,
Do you pay? Are you paying
no,
for this?
Hell no. Bernard Kane, is that right? Keen or Kane?
Bernard Keane.
Bernard Kane.
Yeah.
He's come out with his top politician of the year, and he's picked Peter Dutton.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, gee.
Well, I don't agree with him straight up.
And we will be doing our top 3 winners and losers later towards the end. But this is Crikey's pick. Now, Crikey hands out awards for their best and worst politicians. The guide for determining the best politician is simple and subjective. It's the person who we think is the most effective in influencing politics and using power to achieve results. So they've gone straight for Mr. Dutton. Now, half of you are already preparing a subscription cancellation email. So they're talking to their left-leaning audience.
Yeah.
Pete Dutton is a devastatingly effective opposition leader. Sure, he has no credible policies. His political persona is one steeped in racism and hatred, but his primary business model is about fostering division and grievance. But that has left him with, according to the estimatable William Bowes Bludger track poll, a big primary lead over Labor. So, what do you think, Richard? Do you think they're right by selecting Mr. Dutton?
No, I think Chris Minns is the winner for this year, but
I think they focused on federal politics.
That's fine. I'd put Peter Dutton second.
All right, so they've got a few other.
I wouldn't agree with any of their standard measurements.
No,
Stephen,
because it's all based on their own subjective judgments.
One thing he's done a couple of things. There's no leaking within the federal parliament. He's have you been any articles saying that to can him? But
no, nothing.
Can't say shit canning him in the
He's
background.
just chipped away and he's
chipped
worked
away,
hard.
but the backbench have been rock solid behind him.
Yep.
There's been no leaking to David Crowe or someone from the Guardian or someone from the It's been rock solid. They've been disciplined, and that means they're all behind him.
Now,
and the other thing is that personally, he has been incredibly controlled, even when people have said insulting and derogatory things to him.
Is that the copper in him?
Yeah, I think that's part of it, but also he's been a politician for 25 years nearly now.
That's experience too.
Yeah, that's just experience. Plus, he's got a lot of serenity. He doesn't get angry. He gets impassioned, but it's very controlled. And I think he really, really handles himself very well. He's come out of himself a lot more. He started cracking, jokes in his sort of particular way, which is a very sort of backhanded and sort of insightful way.
Yeah.
So I think he's done really, really well. And I think that, he doesn't want people to like him. He wants people to respect him.
That's right.
And he's getting that, and he's getting more of it all the time. And the more the left media keep piling onto him and saying he's evil or he's this or he's, all that garbage, and how he wants to make people angry and divide them. That's not what he's about. And if you had half a brain and you opened your eyes, you'd see that straight away. He's actually about bringing people together and finding common cause.
James in the chat says even when Dutton raises his voice, it feels like he isn't. Which this is a positive quality.
Well done, James. That's a very good observation.
A lot of the Canberra bubble people have complained that he's hardly had a press conference in Canberra. He's always done it outside in the suburbs, and
because he's working hard.
He's working out in the pub.
He's talking to real people, not them.
That's right. He's out of the bubble.
Okay, Richard. So I think we may not agree completely, but we at least understand why they chose Peter Dutton. They've also had some honourable mentions, which I think you might find interesting. So the first honourable mention is Jim Chalmers.
Oh yeah, you've got to say that I was going to put him on my fails this year, but I thought no, actually he's got away with everything. He's got this sort of shallow, stupid sort of insubstantial way of dealing with everything, and he gets away with it because no one ever puts his feet to the fire.
It says Chalmers.
So he wins because he sort of plays this sort of nice guy thing, and it's like that's all going to catch up to him. So they can take their honourable mention and stick it.
Now, I'll put the link in the chat again if anyone wants to call in, and please do so. We want to hear from you. But they say that Chalmers is the reason why so many Australians still have jobs and the economy isn't marred in a recession caused by the reserve banks.
Well, they're half right. I mean, he's organised all this government spending. He's expanded the public service. Yeah, they have jobs because of that.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, in terms of a real job that actually produces something of value, no.
Now, I don't know this next person. You might let me know. Matt Kia, is it Matt Key?
He's a member for.
He's a member for Burt in Western Australia. What is he, a junior minister or?
I think he's an assistant minister to the defence.
Yeah, he's assistant defence minister.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And more honourable mentions. I think this is probably the last.
Oh, by the way, he is very smart and he is quite competent.
Okay.
But he still wouldn't even get a junior ministry in the Hawke Keating government.
How do you feel about the next one, Bridget McKenzie?
Right. Okay.
No.
Why does she? What do they say about her?
I mean, she's the liberal. She's the coalition. The National Party's answer to Pauline Hanson.
It says, "At crikey,
she's more out of control.
At crikey, we respect politicians who stand up for good policy and pay the price for it."
And what's he? Oh, is that because she's been hypocritical on the Qantas side? Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. gouging scumbags of Qantas, it says in this article. So that's very
And who are
very
the duds of the year?
unbiased opinion.
No, but he's very opinionated, as most those private.
Yeah, but his opinions are based on excluding most of the information.
Okay, and Richard, the dud of the year, you might find this interesting. They've picked, tempted to give a send off to Paul Fletcher, who's not even sticking around to face up to losing to Bowley.
That's a teal.
Yeah, that's a teal.
Nicola Bowley,
Yep.
who's running.
But their pick is Richard Marles
Because
as the dud of the year.
they're fundamentally against AUKUS. The left of a fundamental.
On what basis? I mean, Tricky Dicky is rated by the opposition. They say he's the only reasonable one they can talk.
Are they just saying it's him because he's his opposition to Albanese?
No, they actually enjoy him, and he sort of kisses their asses, I guess, and tells them how good they are.
Okay, so I've also been reading the ABC. So we're going from one left-leaning organisation to another. So this is an article from the ABC, a year that shook the world. That's 2024. So it's going through a number of different issues. This is a chart of increased political violence in the world. You can see Ukraine is way off the charts there, Palestine, Lebanon, Russia. So it's been a year of many conflicts, which is unfortunate because we don't like seeing conflicts anywhere. It says that with a month ago, 2024 was already the second most violent year since World War II, and the year that was the most violent was 2023. So
look at the leadership.
Yeah, again,
I mean,
the last
come on.
2-3 years have really been. If it's not the economy, it's conflict. We're really copying it in different
If
ways.
you have a weak leader of the free world like Biden, you get lots of conflicts because everyone's got an open license.
It's point in case.
And it's like there wouldn't have been one Russian soldier in the Ukraine if Trump was president, not one. And there's no way Hamas would have attacked Israel either.
What I
They wouldn't
found,
have had the money.
what I found interesting is this chart here. 2024 was the biggest ever election year. Half the world went to an election, which was very, very interesting. Taylor Swift, I wasn't too concerned about Taylor Swift. This one here, we're headed for the hottest year on record, Richard, and 2023 was the hottest. 2024 will be the first year to exceed the 1.5 degree threshold.
And nothing
Says
will happen. So great, nothing will happen, and something's supposed to have happened, but it won't change anything.
Yeah, but it's
Great.
Is the
Wonderful.
data reliable? I mean, I'm just so
Of course
this
it's not.
this is
It's
the
just-
problem. It's just the data's BS.
You know what scientific theory is? It's whatever someone pays the scientists
yeah.
to say.
Whoever's funding the
Anyone that leaves
experiment.
their house at any point of the day,
experiences,
like me, I work outside, will know it wasn't the hottest year.
It wasn't.
record, at least not here in Australia.
I had a winter blanket until the middle of November.
It was a very mild year.
We've still got a blanket folded up at the end of our bed just in case we have to pull it over us.
And
because
how
we've got a
many-
thin?
That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
Like, I mean
have-
there's years where dead set. I mean, a pair of boxer shorts got the fan going
Yeah.
and nothing on. Like
I'm
no
convinced they're
blanket.
playing with the numbers because sometimes I'll say it's a 30-degree day and I step outside. I'm like, come off it. It's not even close.
Oh, it's 30-degree day in the middle of the road on a black tarmac.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's
Yeah.
been at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You know what I mean? Like it's maybe 30 degrees there.
Yeah, exactly. This one you might find interesting, and we talked about this a little bit before. This is why I wanted to save it till now. Artificial intelligence sent emissions soaring.
Mm-hmm. Boom, boom, boom.
So, and this is probably the best way to see it. Now, AI and cryptocurrency have turbocharged energy consumption. Now, you can see here, each one of these little dots equals 0.1 watt hours, which I don't know what that is, but the measurement of energy.
Yeah.
So a traditional Google search was 0.3 watt hours, so 3 little dots. ChatGPT text query was 2.9 watt hours, so you can see all the little dots there. An AI-powered Google search is 7.9 watt hours. So you can see from a traditional Google search, 0.3, to an AI-powered Google search, 7.9.
25 times higher.
Yes.
No, 300, I think.
Well, whatever that.
25 times.
I don't understand how to work it out. I need a calculator.
Yeah, Adam and I were.
I'm a tradesman.
Adam and I were educated by the New South Wales
government,
education system,
yeah.
so we need a calculator. Now
Well, you can see why Bezos and freaking Gates want nuclear energy to
Amazon, Google, Microsoft, they're all building small modular nuclear reactors to power their.
Here's the bottom line. They're not going to get it out of the grid. It won't be there. It won't be there. It's not in Australia. Our grid's going to be falling over.
And Kevin Loughrey, and I encourage everyone to go watch the podcast that we did with Thomas Jan Peterson from Copenhagen Atomics. They're proposing to come to Australia, build, finance, operate their own thorium molten salt reactors, and
pay for it, and
they're going to pay for it.
And I could have slapped Kevin. Well, if I was the king of Australia, I'd make sure that you got paid. They're offering to do it for nothing. You take it.
They're going to take all they want is the profit.
Nothing up front.
Up front.
Yeah, that means all the cost transfer gets put onto the consumers down the track.
I get that.
That's what we've just witnessed for the last 20 years.
Only if they want to pay for it.
Yeah.
I mean, libertarians say. I mean, this is a very libertarian policy. I almost find myself agreeing with the libertarians. If they want to come here and provide energy and people want to buy it, then that's their choice. And the free market decides who's the winner and who's the loser.
So they'd have to be competitive with other
Jared
energy
Renner
sources.
Came on, and
you're missing something. It's all about what you pay in the end. You're thinking like a consumer instead of a business owner. Because it's all about cost.
Not if you can go to Copenhagen. So if you're saying Copenhagen Atomics is going to pay more, and then I can go to Origin and pay less, I'm going to
charge you for financing it. That's what you don't get.
But you just don't go with them.
It's like with wind towers.
Why am I arguing with a libertarian about libertarian policy?
This is libertarian policy.
No one. You're not a libertarian. You are not a libertarian.
That's not true.
You're a green stooge in this libertarian party.
No, as one,
that was
a
great.
I was really upset that I wasn't able to join that.
It was a great. Podcast.
It was a great podcast.
But I was surprised by Rennick. I thought he was on the complete wrong tram with his answer when he was saying that. Why would we bring in a private company to provide our energy? What happens if you guys go under and we're relying on you? Well, I mean, we're not saying that this company is going to come in and provide all our energy, and there won't be any government energy. The government energy will still continue with their renewables and their gas and coal and whatever, but have this on the side, and people want to use it and it's successful, then it will grow itself. The free market will decide. Fair enough?
Sure.
I feel like I'm Rob Cribb or John Ruddick.
You're John Ruddick right now.
Now, talk about the former. He would call you people communists.
Yeah. Well, you might find
he calls me a communist all the time.
You might find this interesting, Richard. Now that we've just gone through those three: traditional Google search, ChatGPT, and also an AI-powered search, and we see how many dots. Now, this is a Bitcoin transaction, 987,000 watt hours. Now these are all the little dots. So this line here, the dots above this line, could power the average four-person Australian household for a day. Keep scrolling. The above this line would power the same household for a week.
Yeah.
Keep scrolling. Remember, this is all from one single Bitcoin transaction.
Is that from if you wanted to buy a Bitcoin?
If you wanted to transfer, I'm going to transfer my Bitcoin to you. This is the amount of energy it takes in the computer computations.
So I'm looking at the angle of Bitcoin because I'm still not sold on Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
And I got a feeling this is going to be lead into it.
This amount of energy could run your refrigerator for an entire year. Keep scrolling. This amount of energy could power the average four-person household for a month.
Mm-hmm.
Keep scrolling, and then we're there. Wow. So that is an incredible amount of energy for just one Bitcoin transaction. So you got all these crazy teals running around saying that we're going to power our economy on windmills and solar panels that only work 20% or 30% of the day.
Who is we, little white woman? Who is we? These people are stupid. They can't add up. They've got no financial, business, commercial, or economic sense. They don't understand money. They don't care about money. and they just want someone else to pay for everything they use.
What I will say is that anyone out there that is afraid that the Reserve Bank is going to bring in a central bank digital currency,
Don't have to worry.
we're not going to be able to.
because it won't be able to power it.
we won't have the energy
Won't
for it.
power it.
When the Reserve Bank comes out and says we need to get on the nuclear bandwagon,
we'll be
then you
worried.
know,
you're
they're
worried.
about to bring it in.
All of a sudden, when all the media, when everybody's
Yep.
pro-nuclear, so
Yep.
all of a sudden, Crikey's like, yes, we're going to build nuclear power plants, and then you have like 9 MSN. And it must be, and then they'll go down the green pathway with it. They'll go, oh, it's the cleanest, most efficient way of it. So that when they start saying the exact opposite of what they're saying,
Yeah.
it's the cheapest, most affordable form of energy.
Yeah.
Then we are in trouble.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is mental, and I don't see how. As I said, I'm a bit skeptical about Bitcoin personally. I've got no.
Well, for example, I had some holdings with a app called Amber, the Amber app, and they recently moved all my holdings into a digital vault, and they were going to charge me to store it.
Oh, thanks very much.
And I'm like, screw that. So I transferred my Bitcoin out into another
platform
because I had multiple.
Wallet.
So, back when I first started doing Bitcoin, I didn't know which one the best one was. So I did a little bit here, a little bit there. So I transferred one here, a bulk here, and a bulk there. I mean, that's 2 transactions that I made. So that's
that's energy.
cut my head off and
energy.
hang me up at the stake for doing that.
It's energy for 2 households for a month just to do 2 transactions. I thought it was meant to be efficient. It would be less energy to do it on paper. I don't know what. That's the thing. Like, what's the angle with that? Why?
Oh God, Fiona says the libertarians are formulating a Bitcoin policy. God, you guys stay out of it.
Well, I think they should be against Bitcoin.
Who's the bright spark in
Digital
the
currency. It's taking away freedom anyway.
I'll find out.
Why? What?
It's a digital currency. It can be turned off
Yeah,
at
but it's
any
not
point.
controlled.
Oh, but that's what they say. But who's controlling it? Come on, mate. Look how much energy it's using. All they have to do is turn off the generator, don't they? Oh shit! Where'd all my money go? Oh, it went because the diesel ran out.
Their argument now is that your money's digital now already. I mean, how much cash do you have in your pocket?
A little bit.
But not everything you've got. It's all digital.
Yeah, but I can still physically go and get it.
No, you can't.
Well, you can.
I worked in the bank. I know.
They
don't hold the cash. They don't even have the cash.
But you can order it. If I want, look, if you want it,
you have to fill in a form.
I get that. Yes, I get that.
Hey, I shouldn't be saying this, but if you want to rob a bank, you don't rob the bank. You rob the ATM.
Yeah, because that's where the cash is. I'm
going to get sued for that or something.
Okay. I think everybody knows that.
Okay, after an hour and 20 minutes in, we're finally at the looking back on 2024. We've done a little bit already, but
we've been talking about 2024 completely.
Huh?
We've all only been talking about 2024.
We've just been talking about the last week.
Well,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, the last 10 years.
I don't know, man. It was a shit year, right?
There's a podcast and it keeps popping up on my YouTube. It's called Whatever. And it's about these blokes, conservative blokes, Christian. I don't know if they're Christians, but they're very conservative about how relationships should be and monogamy and all that sort of stuff. And they get about 7 or 8 OnlyFans women on, and their podcasts go for 8 hours each.
Right.
Each podcast is like 8 or 9 hours. I'm like, how can you talk for that long about?
Who's got too much
OnlyFans?
time, eh?
Yeah. Anyway,
I mean, we should do an intermission and sort of disappear for 10 minutes.
Why are you soft?
Yeah,
Singing for a smoke.
See these libertarians, they can't stand the heat, can
He
they?
just wants to smoke.
Yeah, you can waddle off if you want. Okay, so I've done my top 5 moments of the year. You guys can contribute along the way if you want. So at number 5, Mr. Adam Zahra being elected to council.
Oh, thank you very much. Oh, thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it.
Very significant moment
in our little
2024,
life,
especially when you realise what Adam's been through and how much hard work it is to run your own campaign, especially with no support. So well done, mate.
Oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate being on your top 5. I'm sure I'm not really number 5, but that's
you
awesome.
are really
Thank
number
you.
5. But we were scratching the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, I can imagine. Because you know what, the thing in the matter is that in Australian politics, there's not really anyone who stand out.
It's
there
interesting.
really
I
isn't.
did a podcast last week with Lee Evans. And we did the UK version of this, and he wanted, I said, pick your winners and losers from the year, and he wanted to include something from Australia, and he said, I'm going to include, I want to say something about The Voice. I'm like, bro, that was last year.
Yeah.
Like
23.
Yeah, it's finished. I did reach out to someone. Before we get into number 4, we do need to include a caller. It's just called in. Now, this is planned, so this is not completely spontaneous. I've asked this gentleman to join us. Mr. Kevin Loughrey.
G'day,
How
Kevin.
are you?
Hey, Kevin.
G'day, guys. Lovely to see you.
Now, it's lovely to see you, Kevin. You're not in your usual home in Ballina. You'd been doing some traveling around for Christmas. You're down in Melbourne at the moment, right?
That's correct. The wonders of modern technology. I'm at Olinda in the Dandenongs. So some friends and my wife have come up here, and we've had lovely coffee and scones. And so I found a quiet place in a park with a disused table and chair, and that's where I'm sitting.
Oh, good.
Now, I wanted to bring you on. We want to hear your thoughts of 2024 as well. But before we get there, you and I have been working on something that we've raised on this podcast in the past. It's an ambition of ours to start a lobby group to reform our system of government here in Australia. We're moving ahead with that plan. We've launched the website. It's called the Australians for Better Government. Now, if you want to get to that website, you can head to australiansforbetter.com. It'll be in the show notes. This is going to be the vehicle that Kevin and I will be using to attract people. We want people to join us. Also learn about what our proposals are or our thoughts are. We do have some proposals. In other areas, we want to start the discussion. But we think that there needs to be a grassroots movement from the people to reform our system of government and not always just rely on the politicians to lead the way. So if you do want to become a member, at the moment, it's free membership. If you want to sign up, it's just for an exclusive for our listeners at Commanding the Narrative. Later on, we'll probably move it up to $20 or $25, which is not a lot as well. You can also donate to us. There's an option there to donate if you choose. But take the opportunity now if you want to sign up to be a member and get on board with what we're doing. It is free. So head to the website, australiansforbetter.com. The website is probably about 90% complete, so we will be adding more information as we go along. But yes, President Kevin, you're the president of the Australians for Better Government. What are your thoughts on all of this?
You know, on the way here, I was mulling that over in my mind because I knew you were going to ask me that question. And, I reckon that every member of every political party has in their heart a feeling that they want to do good for Australia. And so I'm thinking that we ought to go to every political party, to the management of every political party, and ask them if they would send out, as an example, that presentation which I did relating to improving the quality of the vote. Now, obviously, some political parties may take the view, oh, look, this might disadvantage us. But when one has an advantage, it can quickly turn to a disadvantage if your opposition should gain the upper hand. So wouldn't it be better if all political parties won their votes on the merits of their, propositions, rather than on the fact that they can get more people at a polling booth on voting day to hand out how to vote cards, or that they are backed by some powerful media organisation, and you could name a few, the Packers, the Murdochs and so forth. And I really do believe, I think most people who are in political parties have joined them for they really believe in what that party stands for. And if we were to come along with ideas as to, firstly, how we could improve the quality of persons elected to Parliament, that's got to result in better decisions being made by the Parliament, if you have high quality people in the Parliament. And also, if we could convince people that our present system of government is very badly defective because it places in the hands of a few far too much power. And the Americans tweaked at this when they formed their system of government, where they had a separation, they tried to have a separation between the executive, legislature and the judiciary. They actually failed in that latter branch, in that the judiciary is actually controlled by the president. The Department of Justice is actually controlled by the president, as we have witnessed in the recent lawfare against Trump, So there is a need for the Americans and for us to elect our Governor General or President, if you wish to call them that. But I'd prefer to stick with Governor and Governor General. In the states in America, as you know, they have governors. They don't call them presidents or some other name. So we could have elected governors in our states, elected attorney generals in our states, and likewise at the federal level, and an elected Governor General and an elected Attorney General. That's where we're really heading. But there are things we could do to fix up our system of voting right at this moment, which are in that presentation that I've passed on to Stephen, which I think it would pay us to pass out to all of the management of all of the political parties in Australia and invite them, would they please share this with their membership. Let's not be of a particular political party complexion. Let's all be just for what is good for Australia. Let's try to be as neutral as we can relating to political parties and ideology. Let's just get ourselves a method of voting that ensures the best persons get elected to Parliament. And then secondly, that we have a system of government that is extremely efficient in its use of the public funds for the better good of every Australian.
And another proposal is what I call an Adam Zahra special, where Adam, you proposed that the Senate should all be independents. You shouldn't have any party affiliation in the Senate. It should be a true house of review.
Absolutely endorse that.
Every member of the Senate should be an independent,
not affiliated at all. Because
if it's to act as a house of review, can't agree more, Adam. You're right on target, mate. I absolutely agree with you. In order for the Senate to actually perform its role as a house of review, it's necessary that all of those members be non-partisan. Now, obviously, if a person has been in the Labor Party, the Liberal Party, National Party, Greens, or whatever, then before they run, they must disavow themselves of all party affiliation and affiliation to all political organisations. Because even though you know that they came from the Labor Party, the fact is that if they're then faced with a difficult decision in the Senate that does not favour the Labor Party, having disavowed themselves and left the Labor Party, they will not be faced with the shame and the acrimony of being excommunicated from the Labor Party. If that would be one less burden, emotional burden, they would have to carry in discharging their duties proper in the Senate. So, yeah, I agree with you absolutely, Adam, right on target.
Now, the big reason why we want people to join this is because the more members that we have, the more effective that we can be. Because Kevin and I have a plan to obviously give presentations around the country if we can, but also we want to be able to lobby politicians both in the state parliaments and also the federal parliament. And if we can go to them and say that we have this amount of numbers behind us, it's a significant statement. And this is what other lobby groups do. You have Climate 200 out there. Yeah, they're donating to political parties, but they're also saying this is our movement. This is the amount of people that we have behind us. And they can then go on and support what they perceive to be as good candidates. Well, we could do the same thing, provided that people are behind us. So I do encourage everyone to go to the website, australiansforbetter.com, and sign up to be a member. As I said, at the moment, it's free. So we are encouraging people to join us. And Kevin, I know you and I are not going to rest until we do this, because, as I said, we need a grassroots movement to start pushing for this stuff, because politicians never will. If we were waiting for politicians to come up with these ideas, they won't. We need a movement of people, everyday people, Australians, that are going to be pushing this. And look, mate, thank you for bringing us to this point, because a lot of this is based on your work, and I think it's fitting that you're the president of this group.
Yeah, well, I actually count myself as extremely lucky to be in your company, because this, just as you've rightly pointed out, this will not happen unless we can enlist everybody in Australia as much as humanly possible. And I view you gentlemen as being the detonator to causing this to explode. I think we can do this. I think we can. And as I've indicated to you before, it doesn't matter which political party you belong to. Every Australian should be interested in this. And it can only lead to a better outcome for our country and for our children, grandchildren, and their successors. And once again, look, thank you very much, Stephen.
Even the libertarians, Kevin?
Yes. Oh, look, I think, well, I'm fairly confident. In fact, I'm sharing it with the libertarians. I'm fairly confident that this resonates with the libertarians. But I believe, having been a past member of the National Party, and the people in the National Party are really good people. There's no question of it. It's just the leadership did not meet up, did not come up to my standards. And so I left really in great disappointment. But I think every political party this will appeal to. Not necessarily, as you rightly point out, it's not going to necessarily appeal to those people who are beneficiaries of the present defective system. And also those people who are not really interested in the future. They're only interested in the here and now, e.g., I'm all right, Jack, and I don't care what happens in the future. Whereas everybody here, every one of you I know are future-looking people. You're sort of saying, look, we shouldn't just organise things so we're okay now. We want to leave a legacy for our successors.
And if you're in Labour, if you're in the Greens or Animal Justice or whatever, this movement,
you would be most welcome.
Along party lines, you're free to join us.
Yeah, you would be. I would embrace any member of any political party to come to this, because I can't see anything that we're doing which is aimed at which is to the detriment of a particular political party. It can only benefit every Australian.
And you know me, I hate them all. So now,
congratulations,
me
guys,
too.
on that. Congratulations on putting it together and all the hard work that you've done behind the scenes to get this going. So good on you guys.
No, thank you, Adam. Kevin, while we've got you, and we won't keep you too long, I do want to get your winners and losers from 2024 as well, because this is what we're heading towards. We're going to be doing that today. But do you guys want to ask a question to Kevin before we get to that point? Is there anything that interested you in that discussion that we just had?
I'll need time to really look at it.
I've been watching and speaking and hearing and listening all the way up. I know where you guys come. We've debated over this as well in person and stuff like that at different events. So all good.
I'd like to say what I think was the big winner of this year, and that was the voice referendum. And I say that I'm sorry. That time flies when you're having fun. But if I can just say, but it's still, it actually still lingers on. It often comes into my consciousness, because despite the fact that the pro side of that referendum spent $600 million trying to convince everyday Australians to vote yes, they voted no. And that convinces me that was a litmus test, and that convinces me that the person in the street we can rely on, that the person in the street has more common sense often than those people who have numerous letters after their names. And the fact that Canberra voted 70% in front of for the voice is actually an indication of the culture that exists in Canberra, and which is grossly out of step with the rest of the country. So no, I'm still bubbling about that, I have to tell you, and that's one of the reasons why I am so keen to do what Stephen and I and you gentlemen who have now been recruited wish to pursue, and that is I believe we can really trust the people of Australia if we go to them with cogent arguments and reasons why these changes should be made. I believe that they will agree to it. One in particular, which I can point to, which is in a way peripherally related to this business of government, is, I keep on raving on about it, Section 51, subsection 26, the race clause in our Constitution. I believe 90% of Australians would vote to get rid of that race clause, and they would agree with me that we should have a clause in our Constitution that specifically prohibits any government at any level within the Commonwealth or any government-funded entity from making laws or constructing regulations that discriminate in any way on the basis of a citizen's race, sex, or ancestry. You think about it. If we put that into our Constitution, much of the aggravation that the Marxists love to stir up to divide us, to cause us not to be a coherently unified society, it all disappears. Where the feminist movement, for example, if anybody is paying a woman money, not paying her as much as they're paying a man for equal work, then it's against our Constitution. It just solves everything, and it really ought to be there. So, yeah, I'm rather excited about this whole thing. I think we can really make a big difference to our country for the better.
Sam's got a question for you, Kevin.
Kevin, coming back to the Senate, you'll disagree with what I'm going to say. Do you think the Senate should be abolished?
No, absolutely, definitely not. I tell you why. And I had this argument with my father when I was about 15, and I knew everything. I was raving on to my father about how inefficient the government is, and they never get anything done, and we need to streamline. And my father said, son, two things. Firstly, you don't want to wake up one morning and find your world has totally changed. And the Germans pined for efficiency, and look where it got them. And those words have always stuck with me. My father was an incredibly stoic and noble man who served through the Second World War. The whole point of a bicameral system, and what's more, I would even, building on Adam's suggestion, I would say that nothing can pass through the Senate unless 60% of the senators. In other words, we have a filibuster rule embedded in our Constitution. You can't pass a law in the Senate unless 60% of the senators agree. The reality is, gentlemen, we could close down Parliament for a year and no one would miss it. We have so many laws. And I think Trump, in fact, is saying, if you want to pass a law, get rid of 15 or 10 or something, and I'm with him. Whatever, But yes, no, I would definitely have a bicameral system. And what's more, if I was to reform our Constitution, I would demand that all of the states have the same system of government in principle as the federal government, so that we're all in steps, just as the Americans did, and that they must all have a bicameral system. And that means Queensland's got to get its upper house back again.
We've got a comment from Graham. Welcome, Graham. Good to hear from you. This is probably the first time I've disagreed with Graham. But Graham says, that is all well and good, Kevin. However, you are forgetting one thing. Politicians have zero care about the wishes of the people. Voice, for example. Well, Graham, the pushback against your comment is the Voice, for one example, but the misinformation and disinformation legislation. The government proposed it, the politicians proposed it, and the people pushed back. And they pushed back hard, and they won in the end. So if we can develop a movement, a grassroots movement we're not going to get every proposal that we want ahead, but we might get some of them. We might get
if you get one.
Yeah,
that's enough.
Even one would be exciting. So Graham, I do push back on you there, and I always say it's better to do something than nothing, and
because Kevin, I've spoken to 4 politicians, of 2 from Labor and one Liberal and one ex-One Nation person from years ago, and they've all said get rid of the upper houses, and then you put legislation through, and if people don't want it, you can vote them out in 4 years' time.
No, I disagree,
because that's no good.
I'd like to tell you that you could save up all your life, and then in a year you could lose it all. And the same goes with your government. If you allow politicians to pass things on whim, they can destroy your country in the blink of an eye. You need to have a lot of debate.
You can vote me out in 4 years' time.
No, that's not good enough. You've already destroyed the country.
Yeah.
You've already absolutely wrecked the country. And I'm with Graham in that regard, that I believe a significant number of people in Parliament are not there to serve the people of Australia. They're there for reasons of ego, narcissism, or they just get off on power. And we saw that during COVID.
They're there for who they can be and for what they can get.
I know a few politicians from all persuasions, and I disagree. I think they do it. They do it for a genuine reason of public service.
I also agree. I agree with Sam. I think that most people
good intentions.
I think you get into politics, for good intentions, and then you are skewed afterwards.
That's right.
Not what I've observed, gentlemen. I've been involved in a number of pre-selections, and I've looked at the character of the people running, and I can assure you, you are deluded. There are quite a number of people there that I would not even pay with the pickings of my nose, And leave them alone.
Had a few of them too.
Leave them alone. No, and I do look, just changing the subject a little, whether they are or they aren't, what we're proposing in this reform of the political parties will absolutely ensure there is a higher probability, I do say probability, not a guarantee, but there is a higher probability of you ending up with a better quality person in the parliament. My wife has just joined me, by the way. She's just sitting right next to me under the shade of a tree. It's an ideally place to have a conference, I've got to tell you.
Well, Kevin, we might let you go because this was meant to just be a brief, launch.
Congratulations, guys.
But what I might do is I might have you on next week, and we'll delve into this deeper. And hopefully by then, I've as I said, the website doesn't have all the information on there yet, but I will be loading that up in the next few days. I think the Commanding the Narrative website took me probably about 10 minutes to set up. This one's taken me weeks. So there's a lot of information.
You've been fantastic. Honestly, Stephen, you are fantastic, mate. You're a great organizer. You're a great presenter. You've missed your talent, but boy, I am so glad that I met you and I met you guys. It's been terrific, and thank you very, very much for that.
Oh, well, the feeling's mutual, Kevin. Thank you very much. And for everyone, we'll let you go. Kevin, thank you for coming on, and we'll see you next week.
See you, mate.
And for everyone, if you again head to the website and sign up, as I said, it's free at the moment. AustraliansForBetter.com, and get involved. And we hope to do some big things with this movement, I guess you would call it.
Yeah,
that's excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, so getting
Stick
back.
it to get up.
Yes.
Stick it to, what's the other one? What's the other one?
The right are organized in America, so we need to start getting our act together.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Okay, so we were going through my top picks, top 5 moments of 2024. We said number 5, Adam Zahra being elected to council. Number 4, where have I got number 4? This moment that people might have forgotten about already, but let's raise it again. I am the Prime Minister.
To talk with the ministers, hear what they have to say, and then we'll consider the decision of them speaking about 10 minutes. But I'm not having any attacks toward myself in the organisation.
Wow. I'm sorry, biggest douche ever, right? Like, I mean, I try to respect all of prime ministers and stuff, but man,
he's such a wanker.
It makes it hard. Yeah. He makes it hard to show him respect. Even if
respect the office rather than the man.
Yeah,
it's impossible.
Was this really the beginning of the end for Albo? I know people look at The Voice, but
when was that? Was that the start of the year? Was it?
How do I go back? It was probably pretty close. This article was from April. Yeah. So
The Voice was his first really.
That was the first one. Yeah, that's when people say, "Hey, hold on, what's going on here?"
I think this is one where,
but this shows his character.
But this is where
who he really is,
and people actually started having the balls to call him out on it.
Yeah.
But I think this showed his, it was revealing of his true self.
Yeah, this revealed his lack of substance, his inability, his lack of humility, where he wasn't able to apologize for his own bad behavior, and it was appalling. To put a woman into tears and then pretend like nothing's happened. That's just so subhuman.
Question would be: would Dutton gone to Dutton would have done that? Dutton wouldn't have gone near that place.
He wouldn't have said, "I'm the Prime Minister. Let me talk."
No, he would have said, "I'm not turning up to that. Let them just protest. Leave them alone." He wouldn't have turned up.
I mean, he goes to protest as well.
I blame Albo's advisors saying, "Why did you?"
I blame Albo because, as I said at the time, I think he saw this and he thought, "Oh, I'd just walk in and I'd be welcomed with open arms."
And I'm a male feminist or something.
Yeah, and they would love to hear me speak. And when she pushed back and said, "No, we don't want you to speak," he's like,
"I'm the Prime Minister."
I'm the Prime Minister, and never do that. So okay,
don't believe it.
Just walk away.
I just don't think. I think he was badly advised. That's my opinion.
See, but that's the whole point. He is there for who he can be.
That's right.
Right? He's not there for what he can bring or what he can do for anyone else. He is there because he has a fear that he doesn't have much substance as a man, and the problem is he's right. He doesn't have very much at all.
No.
Well, he's got his $7.2 million house or whatever now. He can happily just sail off into the sunset.
That's another dot point. That's
yeah. Well, the house thing was another thing.
That's terrible.
The look of it, the imagery, the symbolism of it's really bad.
I grew up in a poor house with my mum.
On the headland at Copacabana.
Come on, mate.
Yeah.
There's a couple. Look, when the books come out in years when he's finally out of public life, there'll be a couple. There'll be The Voice, Copacabana.
It'll just be a manual about what not to do, who not to pick, who not to support, who to sideline out of politics as fast as possible.
Well, the thing is, he got an easy honeymoon. A honeymoon ended, and then he just got hammered. Like it just got hit because he's just terrible.
I still think there are too many people going far too easy on him. I've got an article from yesterday's Sydney Morning Herald, which is appalling.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Is that the one that saw that on? Was that on the table out there?
Well, that was written by David Crow.
We'll get to that.
Keep going, mate. What's your next one?
So that was number 4. Now we'll move to number 3. Now look, the state parliaments around the country, and they're not that amazing. Nothing big usually happens. I mean, the New South Wales Parliament is pretty. I mean,
it's
nothing really significant. No. As you used to always talk about the pothole in Kemps Creek and stuff. Right. But there was something that happened in the New South Wales Parliament this year, which I think is significant. It didn't even happen in the Parliament. It actually happened on this show. And I think it's probably the most significant thing that's happened in New South Wales politics this year. This is commanding the narrative back in September. Feels like.
Well, I would like to make a positive point. I think a lot of your viewers would have been people that were anti-COVID hysteria, okay? And I know that Adam and Steve were. I think sort of our other mate Sammy, I think he sort of went along with it for a fair bit. But let's say most of your viewers would have been people who thought the government.
What did you say? I beg your pardon.
Oh no, you poked the bear.
What'd you say?
I said that I know that Adam and Steve were freedom marchers, were against the COVID, turned up for the anti-COVID protests. I don't think you were there,
our reactions.
Is that right? At the freedom march.
John, anyone told you're a flat track bully?
Okay, settle. This is civil
conversation. You love dishing it out on me, don't you? You love dishing it out, but you can't copy it, sunshine.
I'm just there like
I told you this privately. I'm saying to you publicly.
I looked at John.
From you back all the time, Sam. That's all you do is show up to events.
Whatever you fall out of wonder.
I don't know why you got to be under your bottom. My point is, most of the viewers,
you hate most of us. Don't lie.
By far the most significant moment in New South Wales politics this year. By far.
As I said publicly and I've said privately, I shouldn't have been there that day. I shouldn't have been there. It was a long week of pre-polling booth in my local council election. I should have left, just gone. I shouldn't have turned up. I didn't want to lecture. And I just didn't want to be there. And I don't know. Because there's a couple of things. I've said that there's a couple of things what's been said privately to me.
Okay. All right.
In hindsight, I shouldn't have turned up. But
number 2 significant moment this year is the polls, and we can see this is Poll Bludger, and this is tracking the polling that you can see there on the two-party preferred. It's just been trending down. It's actually been trending down from 2023, but it's continued in 2024 to the point now that the coalition is ahead of the Labor Party, and no one, I don't think, really would have believed that all that long ago. I mean, it was trending, but you never thought it would quite get that bad, but seemingly it is. And Albo really has got a fight on his hands now. By all accounts, he won't. It's almost impossible for him to achieve a majority government. He's headed for minority government, and there's even a chance now that Peter Dutton could win in some way. We'll have to wait and see.
It's not going to be much of a fight.
Yeah, well,
it'll be like just watching someone get stabbed in the ring.
But it really is the main story of 2024. How Albo has continued to slide. As I said early on, he should have gone to an election in September because there was
Right.
there was no way he was going to be able to stop the bleeding.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's continued to bleed, and he'll continue to bleed.
It's a bit hard to stop the bleeding when you keep stabbing the bag.
They don't. He doesn't.
Like, you know what I mean?
He's not capable of. It's like if Sam stabbed me in the heart right now, and you had to be the doctor, and you're going, I don't know what to do.
Well,
that's elbow.
Yeah, no, but no. Then he gets the knife and goes, "Oh, it went in like this. Oh, it went in like this. Oh, it did that." Just he just keeps sticking it in.
Yeah,
he keeps walking into someone else's knife and going, "Why did you stab me?"
Yeah, right.
You know, I'm still a victim here.
Albo's a fighter. He's always fought in his life. Always fought.
I don't agree.
But he's
with
not
that.
an effective fighter.
Not effective, but he'll fight, mate.
I don't agree with that. I think
no, you can fight inside a paper bag, but never punch your way out of it.
I just think
I
don't write him off yet.
I think he's one of those sort of 5th grade halfbacks that's always picking fights and hoping someone else will fight them for him.
I don't think he's got enough. I don't think he's got enough charisma to pull himself out of the hole.
One thing
He hasn't got any charisma.
That's what I mean.
And he hasn't got ScoMo on the other side.
Graham says the coalition has not really done anything. Meanwhile, Labor continues to shoot itself in the foot. Well, I disagree again. I mean, I don't know. Graham must have woken up on the wrong side of the bed. But I will say,
not feeling generous towards the coalition.
I think Peter Dutton has.
I think the nuclear policy is significant.
I was saying that to Richard outside. I think that was the start of Dutton.
He needs a couple.
It showed leadership. He does. I agree. He needs a couple more, but it showed leadership, and he's setting the tone for the election. That's going to be one of the big issues that people are going to be debating, and Peter Dutton has set that
There's
agenda.
3 big issues. There's cost of living, which is and immigration, which is tied together.
And energy.
And energy.
Well, energy.
He's got 1, 2, 3.
He only has to fight. If he focuses on the energy issue, it covers all 3 anyway.
Well, it doesn't cover immigration, but
he
they'll handle that separately.
Well, but basically, cost of living crisis.
Cost of living, yeah.
Okay, and then with cost of living crisis being tied in with immigration. Inadvertently, it doesn't stop people from coming in. But what it is, it's focus on energy.
Yeah.
Okay. Seriously, Australia's built on energy. It's got to be energy.
All he has to do is just say, look, we're not the government. We're probably not going to be the government. This is what we think would make a difference. That's, the government could do the right thing and implement our policy.
I think Peter Dutton should put on an orange wig
all he has to do is
and
be
start
cool.
saying "drill, baby, drill," and ride that wave, because not the Pauline Hanson orange wig. I mean, I'm talking about the
yes, well, speaking of
orange
which, I know it's not an Australian moment, but it's going to probably affect the whole world. It's the election of Donald Trump. Whose phone is that?
Not mine.
It must be yours.
Probably mine.
That's right.
Okay. So Donald Trump is back. He's been elected as president again. I think that's the most significant moment of 2024 by far.
By
Can't
far.
even compete. It all really started in a lot of ways by this. He got this man out of the way, the current president, Joe Biden, and this was the election debate.
And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
Gee,
See, you know what?
Summed that so well. He just worked that out. He just looked when the thing. There was a bit of acting in there, but he just looked at him and said, "What the hell is this bloke on about?"
I got it.
And then the was so much more stylish than that.
That's right.
You don't want to
It's
lead
like, I
up
don't
that you
understand
feel
what he
sorry
did.
for.
I don't think he does. It's like.
And that was basically the death knell for Biden. But if he had gone to the election against Biden, do you think it would have been a big difference in the result?
He won by bigger.
Bigger?
Oh,
Bigger.
yeah, bigger.
More than Kamala.
Yeah, bigger.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He would have won New Jersey. He would have won the Sun. He would have won Arizona. He would have won New Jersey. He would have won.
You're talking
New
about
Mexico.
Biden?
Yeah,
Are you talking about Trump?
I mean, there would have been a small percentage of particularly men who would have voted for her just because she was a woman.
Good looking enough.
Yeah, no, she's
not after she lost.
No,
Went
but you know what I
downhill a bit,
mean.
didn't it?
No, yeah, but that's a campaign. Campaigns are tough.
Yeah.
Like campaigns are tough. It takes you a couple of months to recover from that. And
I think Biden would have done worse because of that.
Okay.
I think a man campaigning against a woman, it's like when I was a salesman. It's like men will always make time to talk to a pretty girl.
Yeah, it's
you know,
true.
you're always at a disadvantage competing against a female.
Agreed.
Person.
Now,
always.
Well,
I agree.
A good point of that is when Kamala did replace Biden, she did see a bump in the polls, and up until really this point in time, which was another significant moment of the whole year.
They wanted to keep looking at it, but they turned down the volume.
Well, that's a little bit old. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that's said, take a look what happened.
I shouldn't have said what I said either.
So you can see this is Trump getting shot, which is significant enough, but it's more his reaction afterwards that really set the tone of the whole election campaign.
What's up?
Let's go back a bit.
Your head is bloody.
This is when he stands up. He says, wait.
Coming.
Let's go right back. I mean, this really showed, courage under fire. I mean, I know it's a bit of a cliche, but it was true in this case.
I'm not dead, so what am I going to do?
So we're going to go to
Well, he's xenophobic.
I don't know why the sound's not working.
Did anyone just stop it? Did you see the Secret Service there? See that woman at the front of him?
There he goes. Fight.
Did you see the woman in front of him?
Yeah.
What was she doing on the stage? Someone still had an open shot on him.
Well, that's the thing.
And did you see this? Did you see this?
Dissected that.
Did you see the Secret Service at the convention in Milwaukee?
Yeah, and they're
all
7'9",
6'9", so no one could touch him.
Yeah. So, do you guys agree? Was that the most significant moment of the whole Trump election campaign?
And when he got shot, I've read stuff. People wore MAGA caps in Southern California, and no one said a word to him.
Yep.
People said enough's enough.
I think another significant moment was when. Another significant moment was John RFK Jr. Robert came on board.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
the
think
people that
was
he's surrounded with himself with.
When he knew he built a good team.
That Elon was huge. Joe
Rogan.
Going to the UFC and hugging Joe Rogan and
Like,
having all these people around him.
That got him the young vote.
Yeah. That was
the male vote, not the female vote, the male
young vote.
That's right.
And hey, you know what? You got it.
He can thank his son for that.
Have you guys got any other moments that you'd like to add to that? Or is that, I mean, there wasn't too much from this year apart from the US election.
I mean, the US election
and the conflicts of the world, but you don't really want to celebrate those.
Not celebrating any of that. That's just terrible. And let's hope the winner of 2024 should try and stop all those. Hey, let's hope he gets there.
Well, that'd be interesting. We were talking in 6 months' time, 9 months' time. Does he successfully negotiate an out in Russia, the Russia-Ukraine war? What happens in Gaza?
I think there's going to be massive cost to it. I think there'll be there will be a cost to it somewhere along the ways.
Yeah.
What's interesting that since then, I'm seeing a lot of people come around on Trump, and it's an old wrestling analogy, and you got to remember that Donald Trump is in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's done a bit of that wrestling stuff. Where you would have a bad guy, they call them heels in wrestling. Now, if you had a very, very unpopular bad guy that was also entertaining, after a while, the people would start coming around, and eventually, when you turn that bad guy into a good guy, he would become the most popular good guy in the whole territory.
Isn't that what happened to The Rock? The Rock started like that.
In a way, yep. I mean, there's a lot of examples that you could point to. And in a way, this is a little bit what's happening with Trump. People hate him. They can't stand him, but he's entertaining at the same time. That starts to wear off. And when you see the establishment go after him so hard, people start to go, hang on a second, maybe I should reevaluate my stance here. And I see that happening now in America. And a clear example is Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks. Now, I've got this clip lined up. I think, and I don't think he'll ever admit it because he hates Trump so passionately, I think he will probably eventually be one of the biggest MAGA supporters.
I don't think so now.
He's certainly coming part of the way. This is some of his comments here.
That mainstream media you think is against you. You think they're against the right wing. But they also hate Bernie Sanders. And they also hate me. And they also hate the populists on the left. What mainstream media really loves is the establishment and the elites. They're against all of us combined. And if we dare unite on issues we agree on, they will be livid, and it'll be a beautiful day in America.
So what he's really saying is that the left-right paradigm is dying, and it's becoming more about the elites versus the people.
It's happening in Australia. The donut theory.
Yeah.
Inside the donut and outside the donut.
Yeah.
In teal seats, and further west you go, or outside the inner city ring, where there's money and power.
Yeah. Well, there's
that's what I always say to people.
We're heading to a Hunger Games scenario, basically.
Yeah, that's what I always say to people when they ask me if I'm left or right, and I just go, I'm not. I'm centrist, but I'm anti-authoritarian. That's what being a libertarian is all about. Yeah, I'm not a good libertarian, but I am still a libertarian.
Okay, let's get to it.
Aren't all of us, just wait a minute, right? So we're all kind of like on the same, on the right side, center right side of politics. Okay, so but we're on the spectrum of that, right? But we're all against totalitarianism in general, aren't we not?
Of course, yeah.
Right.
We believe in individual freedom.
Right. So like we're all pretty much on the same page.
I mean, libertarians would probably like to think of themselves as being more focused on totalitarianism, again, being against it.
As in focused on it?
Being focused about being against it rather than being sort of left or right.
All right, we've been talking about this the whole episode. The top winners and losers from the year. We'll go around the table. We'll start with you, Adam.
All right. So just touching on our point before, like Peter Dutton, I think he's a bigger winner this year. I think he's done well. I don't agree with the way he set up his policies. I think sometimes the method behind it is not right, but the policies are still there in the end. You know, it's like, you know, with the nuclear thing, I think we shouldn't be worried about the carbon emissions and go to nuclear. I think we should just go nuclear because we need it.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's my biggest downfall for Dutton, but I still think he's the biggest winner. I like some of he's shown himself as a stronger leader now. So, you know, with the one flag policy, which is like, if you're not blonde hair and blue eyed or an Australian at heart, I mean, you should be voting for that, period. You know,
to that issue, that could be like getting rid of all the other flags. Could be like what Trump said about Kamala's for she and he.
Yeah.
Where Trump is for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think this is a way of, this is Dutton saying
he just needs to be stronger on that point.
How can he be any more stronger saying this is one flag and one flag only?
I agree. And how
can he be any stronger than that?
I think it's a strong move. I think it's a good move. I think it shows guts in saying it.
And I can't wait for them to get the Aboriginal flag off the Harbour Bridge.
Oh, mate.
I don't even like the state flag being up there. Just put the 2 Australian flags.
Well, and the thing is too, I think you should, Mr. Dutton, I think you should stop copying me of what I'm saying in council chambers as well, because I've had issues with other flags being raised as well. So we can talk, have a coffee. That'd be good.
Adam, I'd just like to comment, as I said to you, it's like Adam Bantz put that into even sharper focus by refusing to stand in front of the Australian flag.
Absolutely.
And it's like, you know, this is why the Greens are so wonderful at some times, because they make such spectacles and fools of themselves by just doing exactly the wrong, most provocative, most disgusting behaviour right out there.
Shocking. It is disgusting behaviour in Australia.
And they think they're smart, and they're just disgusting.
Yeah, idiots. So yeah, and he swayed the polls now, so he started to claw back against Albanese's lead, and I think that takes a lot of strength and a lot of leadership. And I didn't realize, but what Sam was saying before as well about having like your backbench behind you and kind of like no one's leaking information and things like that. So
you've only got the one winner.
So he's the winner.
Yep. Okay.
I know. I think Senator Malcolm Roberts.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, I think he's a big winner as well. He's second. Just from when we ask about who would you rate as a prime minister in leadership, just on our little poll that we do, most of the time people will say Malcolm Roberts.
Build your own fantasy government. He's always on the list.
He's always
65%
most of the time he's always on the list because and the thing is, I like him, and I think he's the only person who's keeping One Nation alive, I think, at the moment. And unfortunately, you know, he's getting old and he's up for election.
Yeah.
And I think we, you know, they should have heeded our warnings and took people under their wings and given people an alternative.
That's a whole nother.
That should have been
podcast.
anyway. But he sticks to his word, and he said to both of us, to our faces, that I'm not going to be in Parliament forever, and I'm going to try to make as much noise and as much. I'm going to try to do as much as I can for what I believe in. And I believe that that's what he does, because he stays out of the crap. He stays out of the One Nation workings, and he does what he says he's going to do. So he's a massive winner in my book, especially. And I also like Senator Ralph Babet. I think that he is
Babet?
also
What's he done?
No, it's not about what he's done, apart from at least he because you know what, in Parliament these people can't do anything. Okay, but he has grown his profile. He's building a name for himself, and I think he's. I like that he's, and you should like him as well for being more of a minimalist. He believes in reducing the government and things like that. So we have voices like that. Whereas other people who you think would be on the list, like Senator Alex Antich, who I love that guy. I think he's great and all that kind of stuff. I mean, to be honest with you, he's dropped off. I'm hardly seeing anything from him anymore. I'm not hearing about him as much. Not seeing him around as much. And yes, admittedly, some of that will be my fault, right? But I'm still seeing Babbitt. I'm still seeing Roberts, and you know, and I'm still seeing those guys do it. So those guys are the biggest winners. I think the biggest losers. Well, we all agree that Albanese is probably the biggest loser. I mean, he had the most to lose, and basically he's thrown it away. He didn't even. I think he intentionally lost it. I think he's the biggest loser. I think I was tossing up between Lydia Thorpe and Pauline Hanson as big losers as well. I think Lydia Thorpe has big kahunas. I will give her that. I think she has
the big. I was thinking about Lydia Thorpe as well, but I think she's won with her supporters. So the people that look at her and think she's a basket case are going to be against her anyway,
no matter what.
But the people that really want to see someone like her in there are loving it.
Yeah, but I think with especially with the last thing with the King and things that she's done, I think she's
she might have frayed along the
blown her profile. Yeah. I think people don't respect her. I think you got to handle yourself a certain way. Her, yeah. So I think you got to have. She could have done that in maybe a different way, right? Just like other politicians that we've had spoken about on the show and stuff like that have handled things maybe the wrong way, the Greenwich incident and stuff like that, right? She has a certain level of power and position, and she can use that to her advantage where somebody like the King has to listen. But the way you approach it like that, just to get in tabloids and headlines, they won't listen to that. So I don't think that didn't help her cause at all or her profile, I believe. Okay. But
just quickly on that
big
one,
cojones.
The Resolve poll this morning about popularity of politicians. She's the most unpopular politician.
Unpopular.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So, and she had a position where she wouldn't have been. She could have, let's face it. Just think with the Aboriginal thing that she goes for, and a few of the topics and stuff like that. And then she also said, then she does support. I think wasn't nuclear or something, whatever it was. Like she has done some decent things on disinformation bill she voted against.
I think she got pressured into that.
Well, it doesn't matter. She's still
against the Voice.
Sorry, she did.
She was against the Voice.
Well, there you go. So she's done a few things,
but only because it didn't go far enough.
Still.
Right. Anyway, but I think also, I think just my last one here. I think Pauline Hanson's One Nation is also one of the biggest losers of the year. I think you can't hold your party together in New South Wales. It's a shame. As I said, I believe in the policies that they run. I like One Nation. That's why I was a member of, am a member, but not for long, but was a member of One Nation. And that's why I ran for them, because I believe in what they stand for. Unfortunately, they just can't keep it together.
I put the link in the chat if anyone else wants to jump in with their winners and losers from this year. But Sam?
Okay, the winners of the year is number one by a country mile is Donald Trump.
Yep.
For all the things we've just said, I don't think we can say any more than that. Really deep down.
Trump's a legend.
I think Dutton's a winner.
Mm-hmm.
On just more the discipline and the experience and hard-nosed politics behind it, and also not going patronising the Canberra bubble.
Yep.
Maybe he's seeing things that maybe anti-establishment. He's trying to tap into that. And third, and we haven't said a word about him, I think David Christodoulou winning the Queensland state election.
Okay.
Sure, there was its time factor on the Labor side, but he won. You look at where he won seats, barring the donut within the inner city of Brisbane, he won everywhere else. And that's what Dutton's trying to do in federal politics.
And your losers?
The Greens.
Yeah.
They've lost over not just Gaza, but they've lost seats in local council elections. They lost a seat in South Brisbane, the Queensland election, and their polling is not as strong. But the only problem, there's one proviso with the Greens.
They've got Campbelltown.
Yeah. But one provider, they're very good campaigners. You won't hear a beep out of them in the next 6 months. They'll be on the ground, campaign, door knocking at their best. This is when you won't hear a word out of David Shoebridge or Marine Faruqi or anything. They're on the ground. They'll be interesting if they do anything on Australia Day. Be interesting if they stick their heads up on Australia.
You mean protesting?
Because it's so close to an election. Do they stick their heads up or they say nothing?
And then
because remember they're in election mode now. They're in 6 months out. They're in election mode.
Any other losers?
One Nation. There's no
not
doubt
to a
about
point. One Nation.
And Albo.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Albo's. He's just lost that. He's just lost that thing. But once again, he's a hard-nosed campaigner.
No, he's not. Good campaigner.
Yeah,
He's useless.
He's useless.
I think I might be wrong here. I think when they have a debate with Dutton, Albo,
You are fake news.
Where is it?
He's useless.
There it is.
He's useless.
he's not. It'll be interesting what he does. There'll be a fight in Albo.
No, there won't. He'll be already planning the removal list to get his stuff up.
And a slight winner. He's only a small winner. The Libertarians in New South Wales. They won a lot of seats.
They picked up all the scraps.
They picked up the scraps in the local by-elections, and they polled okay in the by-elections.
Yeah,
but their grand finals in a couple of months' time to see how they're progressing.
I agree. I think John Ruddick personally is a big winner. I think he's built a good. I think that the momentum that he's helped build with a lot of the people. I'm sorry.
I just come a bit closer.
Sorry, I just think that actually I should have mentioned that too. I think John Ruddick actually has built a lot of momentum in the Libertarian Party. Whatever it is, he's got people behind him, and he's got their support there, and he's got motivated people going. So he was definitely the turning point. For them.
Okay, Richard.
But they're like all the minor parties. If things go wrong, how much discipline have they got?
This is going to be a 3-hour podcast.
Fine.
4.
Rich, 4? Come on, mate.
I've decided not to go international, so otherwise I have to talk about Trump, and I don't want to. So I've just kept it Australian centric. So my biggest winner of the year is Chris Minns. I think he is the best Liberal Premier that New South Wales has ever had. I think he's Liberal Premier.
Yeah, I get it now.
And he very, very rarely makes any mistakes. And he's got everyone under a tight fist of control. Nothing happens that isn't planned. He's not going as far or doing as much as any of us would like, but he's doing enough, and he's not making too many mistakes. So I reckon he is a huge winner in terms of that he's just doing what he's supposed to be doing, and he's got everything done that he wants to, pretty much.
I could agree with that.
Yeah. His only blemish, which he owned straight away, was not cracking down on the Opera House demonstration.
I've got one more thing that he did. Wasn't this year though, but when he goes, if Dr. Kerry Chan says that we should lock down again, we should all lock down. That's what made me not like him from the start.
Eden Dweller.
He had no say.
Eden Dweller says biggest loser through no fault of his own is Jared Rennick.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I'm not sure if it's of
I
any
think
fault
that's the
of it.
biggest
I'm not sure it's
injustice.
not his own fault.
That's the biggest injustice, I think.
Injustice.
Yeah.
All right, keep going, Richard.
So my second winner is Peter Dutton because again, very, very similar thing. He's done everything he needs to do, and maybe just a little bit more, but probably not as much as we'd all like.
No.
But he's done enough, and he's going well, and he hasn't made very many mistakes. And I think politics like war. The person that wins is the person that makes the fewest mistakes. My third winner is Peter Malinowskis. And I will draw attention to the fact that in the Enneagram, these guys are all the same personality type.
He's a Premier of South Australia.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
And I don't think that he's doing that great a job. What I do think is that he's won every contest he's been in.
Okay.
So I'm looking at it in terms of win-lose. I'm not looking at it in terms of whether they're good or they've done the right thing or anything like that. I'm looking at it in terms of win-lose.
Okay. Your biggest losers now.
Albanese. No contest.
Damn.
Yeah.
Albanese, daylight. For all the reasons we've covered, he is just the worst prime minister this country has ever had.
Wow. Worse than Whitlam, worse than Rudd.
Much worse.
Wow.
Big call.
That's a big call.
No,
How much damage did Rudd do to the country though?
Rudd at least was intelligent.
Economically.
Rudd was intelligent, right? And Rudd basically didn't diminish the office by being such a weak piece of lard, and
but I feel like that when he was
I'm going to make a shirt with Albo's head that just says on the
Weak
piece of lard.
But I was going to say people will buy that. I was going to say I don't think that when Albanese gets knocked off the top, that Australia's going to walk away from it straight away. Like we're not going to just turn it around and move forward straight away. I think there's a lot of underlying damage, and it's not just his government that's done it, but I think that the leaderships over the past few terms have created a lot of damage to the country, like economically.
Nothing on the scale of this prime ministership.
I
mean, what he has set in train that will, all the bills will be coming in for like 5-6 years to come at least, and there'll be big ones.
That's right, and that's what I'm saying. Rudd didn't destroy the country like that.
He didn't get a chance to.
Luckily enough,
right? And the country was in such good shape after Howard and Costello that it wasn't that all the damaging things that he could have done, he didn't get a chance to do.
I agree with that. I agree with
there wasn't a need for him to do it. It was much better for him to go off and pretend to be everyone's best friend all around the world. As Albo's trying. But the difference is that,
1% of charisma and 0% of charisma.
Anyway, my second greatest loser is Chris Bowen, because he's such a total idiot. And he's someone who could lie to you to your face and be entirely convinced that he is telling the truth.
That's so true about him.
Yeah, it's like he would look you in the eye and tell you barefaced lies every day of the week, all day, every day of the week. He is just a disgusting piece of whatever. And my third loser, I thought about Jim Chalmers, but I decided that he'd actually gotten away with too much to be a loser. And my third one is Penny Wong. Penny Wong has managed to be the worst foreign minister we have ever had. And it's such a simple job. Even a blonde, blue-eyed little bimbo like Julie Bishop could do the job. All you have to do is look good and be nice to people and smile and not say anything very, very substantial. That's all you have to do. Andrew Peacock was called the suntan gigolo by Paul Keating. It's not a difficult job. And generally speaking, the less intelligent you are, the better you'll do it. Now, Penny Wong has managed to offend everybody. She has managed to destroy most of our, or at least significantly retard all our friendships with our best friends. She has scowled. She has been nasty, unpleasant, humorless, stiff. she's just a horrible, horrible person. And it's like she's managed to mess up the easiest job in Parliament. That's usually where you put your dumbest politician, right?
And you got to remember when we asked Sam about his build your own fantasy government, he put Penny Wong on there. You loved her.
Can I say on the record?
I got that wrong.
I got that wrong, and I formally apologise to everyone. I got that totally.
T-shirt for that.
You haven't
Sam's face. I got that wrong.
I got that wrong.
Anyway,
Okay.
those are my three losers.
I was going to do my losers first, but you guys have been doing your winners first, so I might follow the same lead. And mine are actually, interestingly, probably very similar to Adam's. I was going to put Peter Dutton on my winners list, but if he loses next year at the election, I don't think anyone will care about what he's done in 2024. So I've left him off. I've put at number 3 Chris Minns. I think the Bondi incident, he led well, and
He did lead well.
he's done a lot of small things right. Apparently, the train strike he's sorted out. Quietly, and also his stance on Anzac Day was probably the first thing that I've agreed. A Labor leader that I've agreed with for as long as I can remember. I would like to see him do something significant in the next year or two. I don't think he's really done anything significant as a leader yet.
He's got to get some housing up. He's got.
He's
been talking for nearly 2 years now.
But as Richard said, he's probably the best Liberal premier we've had.
Oh, yeah, he's
30 years.
People would say
it took me a minute to tweak, but I'm like, oh yeah, that's right.
People would say he's an old-fashioned right-wing,
and I
person.
think he would be a much better prime minister than Albo.
Oh yes,
that would.
The Liberals would not have a chance.
Yeah,
if he was. Even Peter Malinowskis.
Both of them.
But what I would say is he's not an old style right-wing Labor
man.
He's a new style. He's
Sussex
all new style. He's so smart because he has got good ideas from everywhere.
Yeah.
And you can see it.
No, he listens. Like, that's listening. That's taking it on board and putting it through the filter and getting it done. That's what we want from our leaders. Doesn't matter what color you're from.
But it's not also probably listening. It's not listening to some of the people in his own cabinet or caucus who are hard left.
Very
okay. Number 2, I put Malcolm Roberts as well. Not for anything particular that he's done this year, that he's just kept chipping away, and we would be a far poorer country if we didn't have him in the Parliament.
Agreed.
I'm very concerned about the election coming up, and he's going to be up against some stiff opposition, and he's got to compete with the Libertarians in Jim Wilmot, who I think.
Jim's a good guy too.
Jim's a great guy. He would do a good job, probably equally as good as Malcolm. Also, Jared Rennick is going to be running, and a whole host of other characters. He's going to be having to fend off legalized cannabis taking part of his vote.
That's going to be a big factor in those last Senate spots in all around the country.
He's got a big fight on his hands in Queensland to retain his seat. Yeah. I'm also concerned about his health.
All right.
So, I mean, I don't know.
Allegedly.
I don't know anything internally.
No.
Nothing's been said, but just by viewing him, he doesn't look like the healthiest person going
it just
around.
looks like it just looks like somebody who's like starting to age and the body's starting to show it. That's the nicest.
That's not an easy job.
It's not the nicest way to say, I guess.
In terms of what he contributes to Parliament,
he's brilliant. He's a fighter.
More so in the committee work that he does.
Yeah.
He's absolutely fantastic. He's on everyone's list most of the time for
Sticks
a reason.
by his word.
He's not the most well-known politician. That the list you're reading off. I mean, people know more about Pauline, but Malcolm is the workhorse.
I've read stuff where people say we disagree with his politics, but he's a gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
His word, his honour. He's always polite to people. Doesn't matter if it's a Green or Labor or Liberal.
Yeah.
He treats everyone really, really well. He's well respected. They won't say it publicly, but some of the stuff I've read say that he's well respected within the Parliament.
Yeah, he's a man of substance.
Yeah.
He's the opposite to Albanese.
Opposite, literally.
He's the other end of the spectrum.
Well, I think he's really the Ron Paul of Australian politics.
Yeah.
Now, my biggest winner is Donald Trump. I think that's self-explanatory. Biggest comeback in political history. Hopefully, it does have an effect here on Australia. I think it will have an effect on the world. So, can't deny that was a huge moment in 2024. Now, my losers, number 3, I'm gonna group 3 of them together. They're all state leaders, whether leaders of the opposition or premiers, or former premiers. Stephen Miles in Queensland, just a bumbling buffoon. John Prosciutto in Victoria, just complete.
Well, mate,
just complete disaster down there.
Well done by the Liberal Party, federally and state, to do it all within a week of clean the mess out before the federal election.
And Moira Deeming is back now.
On.
Yep.
Honestly, I don't think that's a good move on her part. I think she should have stayed out. But
no,
she's probably more popular within the Liberal Party of Victoria than probably anyone else in the party.
Yeah, fair enough.
I agree.
And Mark Speakman in New South Wales, completely.
Who even knows who he is?
No one knows who he is.
Who is Mark Speakman?
He has no cut through at all.
Who is Mark Speakman?
He's a ghost.
Yeah. No one knows.
Well, I mean,
completely useless and ineffectual.
I only knew who Mark Speakman was because I went for a job interview and somebody asked me who Mark Speakman was, and I didn't know.
You didn't know.
I had to research it, and I was going to be in that place.
Yeah.
So it was like, who the hell is that guy?
No, he's the opposition leader in New South Wales. No one knows.
I mean, he's got nothing to do for the next 6 years if he lasts that long, and he won't. So, I mean, he's totally irrelevant. He's probably the most irrelevant politician in the whole of Australia, I would think.
Okay, number 2 for me, the biggest loser, Pauline Hanson. I think that particularly in New South Wales, to go from 3 upper house members to 0, and basically also lose Craig Kelly for a brief moment in time as well. They've also lost Stephen Andrew in Queensland. They lost a member in Western Australia. Apart from Pauline and Malcolm and Sarah Graham in New South Wales and Ricky down in Victoria, there's nothing really left.
And the thing is, how involved is Queensland One Nation with Melbourne One Nation and South Australia One Nation?
And apparently they also lost their national campaign director as well. Who's been running all their campains in
Mr. Huxham.
Elections. Yeah, so
I haven't heard about that. You told me about that, but I don't know.
Yeah, I heard it through the grapevine. So look, but also as well with Pauline, I feel like she's living in, Dante talked about hell not being fire and brimstone. It's about being locked in a room with people that you can't stand for eternity. That's really what hell is. She's in the Senate and she's almost being used as cannon fodder by people like Maureen Faruqi, Lydia Thorpe, Fatima Payman. I can just imagine she's got no power in the Senate. She's just being used as as I said, just
as a target,
just being kicked around by these people. She probably feels like she's been she's in hell, and it looks like it. You can see on her face, she doesn't have the same energy she used to have.
She's got no say.
She's got no say, and she's just getting kicked around by people she probably hates to the core. And
well, she's been used as a stepping stone for people's careers now.
Yeah.
So every time she pipes up, they use it against her.
Yep.
And they win. Wrongful. Not. And I don't even.
She doesn't even have to say anything. No. She could sit there and stay silent for the rest of her term, and they'll still use her as to kick her around. So I think she's. I mean, I don't know if she turns it around, but does appear like she's on the way out.
Don't be surprised if she campaigns heavily in New South Wales.
To do what?
2 things. To try and get the Green vote down because she's after Maureen Faruqi.
Yeah.
And 2 other things to try and pump New South Wales up a bit. And
well, she had
who have they got there?
She had 3, mate.
I don't know, but I heard on the grapevine she'd be more prominent in New South Wales. And the third reason,
that shows she cares less. She cares nothing about Malcolm.
Maybe thinks Malcolm's more comfortable up there. I don't know, but this is what I was told about 2 weeks ago. And the third thing was to try and get a bit back at Craig Kelly.
Ooh.
So she's more interested in personal vendettas
Revenge.
than protecting the hardest working man in the federal parliament.
That's what someone told me about.
So that goes to show everything you need to know about Pauline Hanson.
Yeah. But I'm just saying more about attacking, more to try and get Faruqi out of the parliament.
Yeah.
More of that, and to try and get the base back a bit in New South Wales. That's what I was told.
And my biggest loser, Anthony Albanese. There's not too much I can say about that. We've been spending the whole podcast talking about how useless he is. We're going to bring up an article now. I know we're at the 2.5 hour mark. It's the longest podcast that we've done, but probably significant because it is a look back at the year that was. This is an article that you wanted to talk about in the Sydney Morning Herald yesterday, Richard. It says, the Albanese report card, a grim year, but don't write him off. The Prime Minister ends 2024 in a dire position for a leader who must call an election soon, but don't underestimate a master tactician.
Well, because remember, David Crow's the number one boy out of the Prime Minister's office.
I mean, anyone that reads this must just be pounding their head up against the wall with some of the garbage that he's been writing in here. But he's basically talking about how the stage 3 tax cuts were a huge win, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
This gave me a sleepless night, I can say. It was so wrong.
So I just want to quickly, Pauline said, 2 of the candidates I've seen for One Nation New South Wales are very disappointing. Please let us know who they are. It'd be interesting.
Yeah, let us know who they are.
Yeah. All right, Richard, go for it.
So what he says is, but his allies name his move to overhaul personal tax cuts in January, delivering bigger benefits to millions of workers as the best example of what he did right. Well, that was actually what he did wrong. And it's like the journalist Crow hides behind his allies. Well, no, he's just saying what he thinks personally and presenting his opinion as a fact or as being a common view, which it's not. So he goes, Albanese began the year with a bold move by breaking an election pledge to leave stage 3 personal tax cuts intact after years of argument. And he charges that opposition Peter Dutton railed against the Labor changes, which he didn't, and called for an election to be held to decide the matter, only to retreat when polls showed that most Australians liked the idea. Australians never liked the idea. And that's just a gross distortion of reality and fact. So anyway, the upshot of it was that this was an 8-year program of tax cuts, and it was designed so to incentivize people like you, Stephen, who are on a higher income, to work longer and harder.
Yeah.
And let you keep a little bit more of your tax.
I know.
It wasn't some sort of tax cut. It never was. It was to redress all the additional tax that has gone.
And look, I mean, it was
to stop basic bracket creep.
It was stage 3, so the first 2 stages were for the lower income earners.
Precisely.
So they'd already got their tax cuts.
Precisely, and said, no, we're not going to give it to you. And he promised black and blue that he wouldn't change it before he got elected. So he broke a promise, and he did it for the most base political reasons. And this clown, this idiot, reckons it is because he made a bold move. No, he didn't. He made a cheap political power grab and decided to upend an 8-year program to adjust Australia's tax system and get rid of one whole tax category, making it easier to tax.
And in a cost of living crisis, you're decentivizing people from working hard and working extra to get that extra bit of money.
And here's the thing, down the track, people won't work as hard, they won't earn as much, they won't pay as much tax, and so it sends government debt up, which has to be repaid by everybody.
Yeah, he's an idiot.
So the guy has no idea, and this journalist is so far up him that he wouldn't know daylight from dark.
I know that's not the end of it.
Yeah,
I can see he's shaking from anger.
He's very angry.
I'm not angry. I'm outraged.
I wish you were
angry about what this guy and the person he supports, which is this guy, are doing to our country and our people. That sends me wild.
I so wish you were on the wines today.
Why?
You're animated enough.
So anyway, then he goes on about
your favorite topic, Israel.
He interviews this guy, Paul Strangio, the emeritus professor of politics at Monash University, as some sort of stalking horse for this guy's own anti-Semitism. So this guy, Paul Strangio, goes, I don't subscribe to the view that he has been weak on anti-Semitism, says Strangio. To me, this is an idea prosecuted by dogmatic elements, especially the Murdoch media. And when anyone talks about the Murdoch media, you know they are profoundly incurious, right?
He's true that they always, when they're in trouble, they always blame Murdoch. That's true. When they're ever in trouble, they always blame Murdoch. Well, these days you can subscribe to anyone anymore. You know, New York Times, Australia, Washington Post, the Australian. You can go. You can't blame Murdoch. It's just an easy out for the party and the left.
And so he goes. He's basically giving Albanese a free pass not to have reacted to the rise of anti-Semitism, and he's got this stalking horse to actually say the anti-Semitic things for him. So then he goes on. This stranger goes on. He goes, and doesn't allow for the diabolical challenge it has been for the government to strike a position that doesn't aggravate the polarisation of community opinion, but maintain some degree of social cohesion. That is such rubbish.
Well, if you want to read the Sydney Morning Herald, that's what you get.
This is my mother's compliment, but this is the sort of tripe that's being put in front of people.
Do you think people believe it?
I think they're taken in by the nonsense involved.
Do you read the letters section of the Herald?
No.
Yeah,
I reckon 85% of the letters come within 10 kilometres of the CBD.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
I always look within 10 kilometres of the 15 k's of the CBD or the Blue Mountains.
I tell you,
I mean,
no one in Campbelltown's reading that. No one from Campbelltown sending in letters. I can tell you that.
I mean, look at the difference between how Chris Minns has handled this whole issue and the way Albanese has. That tells it all.
That's right.
All right, gentlemen. 2 hours and 40 minutes in. I think we were going to talk about some predictions for 2025, but I think
come on,
I'm starving to death. I think we've touched on a lot of them already.
Cooking.
Come on.
It smells so
You've
good.
got 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Come, 1 or 2 predictions for 25.
I got to start. I got to start work in an hour.
Next time.
Go on quickly. What are your predictions? I got here. Can Peter Dutton do it? The Western Australian election, Trump presidency, will he change the world, and war? Can we avoid further conflict?
We'll avoid war. Trump will do anything in his part not to avoid war. I hope you're right. He'll get Russia. He'll get Russia and Ukraine sorted out. There'll be a compromise. I know people are going to like this compromise, and I think he'll get Gaza and Israel and Palestine because the Abraham Accord.
The Abraham Accord.
A lot of the
the big
Muslim
Saudi
countries
Arabia
will come into play now. So we've got 4 years to sort this out.
Yeah,
and all that sort of thing. I still think it'll be a hung parliament, and I think Albo will not be prime minister by mid-year, regardless of the result.
Well, knowing from Sam's predictions, we don't. Pauline says Farage, Nigel Farage, yeah,
and legalized cannabis will win a seat in the Senate, but I don't know which state, but they'll win it. They'll win a seat somewhere.
Okay,
that's what I think.
Graham says paper mache has not been popular for some time, therefore newspapers have become obsolete. Very good, Graham. Okay.
Come on, 2025. 1 or 2.
I've made lots of predictions already.
I'm gonna go against the grain here. I don't think it's going to be a hung parliament. I think Dutton's going to pull it off. I'm going to say Dutton will form government.
Well, that's an outer ring. That's an outer ring sort of view.
Outside the donut.
Yeah, you're outside the donut.
I think.
Let me tell you that useless idiot has still got lots of friends around here.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think that Adam's right to a point. I think once they start getting into the campaign and people start really focusing on the issues, Dutton will do very well. The thing that will hold him back is the Teals. And I think the Teals potentially will probably retain a lot of their seats. They might not retain McKellar. We'll have to see. Although she probably will. They might even pick some up. And that will stop. That will
retain their Melbourne ones.
That will stop Dutton from forming government. But I don't know what the outcome. I don't see how a Labor, Greens, Teal minority government will function.
The key for Dutton, he's got to win seats in the Central Coast, the Hunter Valley, and Western Melbourne.
I don't see him winning those Hunter seats. I don't see him winning MacArthur. I don't see him winning Werriwa. I mean, that would be a huge shock to the system.
Well, that means they can't win. They can't get close.
I spoke to the federal member for MacArthur, and he reckons he's up for a hard challenge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that was pretty informal conversation. It was actually quite amicable, quite good.
This is Mike Freeland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He thinks he's going to have a hard. He thinks he's going to have a hard time. I don't know who's pissing him off.
Does he think he can stay awake?
Actually, I had a proper non-campaigning conversation with the man. Actually,
that's very generous of you,
Mike Freelander.
Yeah, and I was actually surprised. We didn't agree with the climate change stuff and renewables. That's a given, right? But on a few other things, we were, like heavy rail for the airport.
Easy things.
Yeah, well, the things that aren't controversial, yes. Like,
isn't he the one that said that Labor need to start listening to Western Sydney and not the inner suburbs?
Yeah, he said yes. He said they need to start listening to the people, not the
elites.
The elites.
Well,
so he was pretty.
It would be helpful if he was someone they were interested in listening to.
Well, I know that, but I'm just saying. No, but it was actually I believe, like what Chris Minns is kind of doing. Maybe he's more on that kind of side of
he is
of
Labor. You mean he's not
He
a
is from
total
the Labor,
idiot, but he is senile. Okay.
Yeah, but he is from the Labor, right?
Pauline says the Liberals will probably win Port Stephens.
Yeah, Patterson.
It's called Patterson, Pauline.
Graham says, just an observation, Adam seems to be far more politically aware in 2024. Don't know if that's a compliment or
that's an underhanded comment.
Scorned with faint praise.
I think that's an underhanded comment.
That wasn't very nice.
All right, thanks, mate. I'll take whatever
if this is Graham or just someone else using his account.
I don't know.
No, that's just, Graham just wanted to pick on you to show you last year. It's the Australian way.
I want to meet Graham one day. I wonder where Graham lives.
I think we've already met Graham.
Have we?
I know who Graham is.
Okay.
Yeah, well, he could call in.
Yeah, we need Graham to call in one day. All right, everyone. Thank you for sticking with us. This one was another enjoyable one. It's always one of my favorite podcasts to be with you, gentlemen. It's a bit chaotic and funny and crazy and informal and really skating along the edges of
litigation.
Libel. But thank you for sticking with us. Again, or as always, I should let you know that the best way to keep up to date with everything that we're doing is by heading to the Commanding the Narrative website. Don't rely on social media. Please head there, sign up to the newsletter. It is very good according to my feedback. So please sign up for the newsletter. You'll be able to keep up to date and don't rely on social media. Also, check out the new website and get involved in the Australians for Better Government with Kevin Loughrey and myself and everyone else that wants to join the movement. It is free at the moment. You can also make a donation if you can, and you can sign up to be a VIP member as well to get one-on-one sessions with Kevin and I, and it's the VIP is more about just really supporting us, supercharging what we want to do. But we do plan on taking this all the way and using this as a vehicle to do a lot of good. So as I said, we need people to jump on board with us. So please sign up to be a member. It's not going to be free forever. So now's the opportunity. Jump on there straight away and you can be part of the Australians for Better Government. But for now, have a very happy new year. Thanks for all your support and everything in 2024. It's been wonderful to be able to do this podcast with so many great people, interview so many great people and get so much feedback from our wonderful audience. You are all amazing and thank you for sticking with us, and we'll see you all in the new year. See you later.
Thank you, everyone.